The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
K9 Roscoe, 3 years old, Anderson County Sheriff's Office, South Carolina. End of watch August 12th. K9 Roscoe was shot and killed from ambush while tracking two suspects who had bailed out of a vehicle following a pursuit. The pursuit had started after deputies attempted to make a traffic stop, but was terminated as it entered a more populated area. Several minutes later, the vehicle was involved in a crash, and two subjects, a male and female, fled on foot. As deputies responded to the scene, K9 Roscoe began a track from the crash site. As the deputies went up a hill, they were ambushed by the two suspects who opened fire on them, striking K9 Roscoe. Deputies returned fire, killing the male subject and wounding the female subject. K9 Roscoe was taken to a local veterinary hospital where he died the following morning. K9 Roscoe had served with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office for 2 years. K9 Ranja, 2 years old, Tacoma Police Department, Washington. End of watch August 13th. K9 Ranja was shot and killed while tracking a murder suspect. Another officer had spotted the man in a vehicle and recognized him as being wanted in connection to a murder that had occurred the previous night. The subject led officers on a vehicle pursuit until crashing and bailing out on foot. K9 Ranja and her handler arrived at the scene and began a track for the subject. The man opened fire on officers when he was located. One of the officers on scene returned fire and wounded the subject, who was taken into custody. K9 Ranja was taken to a veterinary hospital where she died later in the morning. K9 Ranja had served with the Tacoma Police Department for only 8 months. I think this is the first show that we've actually had no human casualties to speak of, and the first one since the COVID pandemic where we are not reporting on COVID-related deaths. So hopefully the tides are turning in the favor of law enforcement. There have been 62 line-of-duty deaths on this day in history, dating back to 1872, when Baltimore police officer John Christopher was shot and killed while trying to calm down a disturbance at a picnic. He had served BPD for 5 years. We'll now take a moment of silence to honor the fallen police officers, firefighter and first responders, and veterans that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And we're back. Welcome back to the latest episode of The Blue Room, where we have the right to remain silent, but
that ain't happening.
That ain't happening. All right, guys, so check it out. Yesterday, August 17th, was the anniversary of a line-of-duty death of NYPD patrolman Thomas Gargan, who was shot and killed in 1947 answering a burglary job. The suspect modified a flare gun to shoot one 12-gauge shotgun round, and when Officer Gargan entered the apartment, the suspect shot him. Officer Gargan's partner shot the burglar, who was convicted and executed. Back when we still executed killers. Need to bring that
Interesting
back.
concept.
Yeah, we should.
Officer Gargan had received the combat medal 2 years prior for a shooting he was involved in, and was awarded the NYPD Medal of Honor. I say Valor. Medal of Honor posthumously. The anniversary was actually brought to my attention when a fellow BBO member, Michael Gargan, posted his picture. Based on the year, 1947, I'm guessing that Patrolman Gargan was maybe Mike's grandfather or uncle. But just know that he's definitely not forgotten, brother. All right?
Excellent.
Quick check-in around the room. Christian, what do you got? How you feeling?
I feel good. I had a great weekend.
Oh, you had a great weekend.
Yeah, I've been to 2 car shows. One in Patterson, a local car meet. What they display like old school vintage cars. Mm-hmm. And then I went the following day. I went to another car show in Fairfield.
In Fairfield,
where there's more exotics, high end.
So these car shows, like people that own the cars bring them, or dealers go look to try and sell them.
No. People. Car owners and exotic car rental companies go there.
Car rentals.
and owners too. People actually own.
So
them.
did you rent a high end exotic car?
Now what? No.
Did you ask like what the price? Like what would it cost to rent a
No,
Lamborghini?
they told me
day?
they told me just go to their show, go to their website for more info. But
Oh, they wouldn't tell you right there.
There are
like,
some places that do that rent high-end
Yeah,
cars.
yeah,
There
they
was
do.
one-
Yeah, there's one in Newark, I believe. I forgot the name.
Yeah, there was one. There was one by the Holland. It was a classic car club, and you would pay so much per year, and that would entitle you to a certain amount of rentals.
Do we have a Chris camera going on here? What's the?
Yeah, we got the Chris camera
We're
going.
right
Today.
up his nose.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
I guess
It's really-
I'm just not going to look. If I look to my right, I see him real. I look to my left, I see the actual.
So
Which-
ba-
which is
what
worse?
the audience is seeing, the up close and
So
personal.
Which is worse.
basically, so yeah, I went there. The building where it actually took place is called a car loft. Basically, it's a high end car storage company where they
Mhm.
store your Lambo, your Bugatti, your Kenosang or your
What was that last?
Pagani.
Oh, what was that last one? Pedasang?
Kenosang.
Canosang?
Yeah, it's from Sweden, I believe. That
hell
it's
is
like
that?
I've never even heard of it.
I think he just made that up.
no. It's a $3 million car.
Can-
And
He made it up like it makes up like pizza. He just makes words up.
Kenosang, I think it's pronounced. I don't know,
Oh.
but
say pronunciation.
pronunciation.
Attaboy.
So your weekend was cars,
Yeah,
and that's what makes you happy.
it was lit. It was beautiful.
Awesome. Joshua, what do you got?
Listen.
You still in trouble from last week's show?
No, listen. Things have calmed down in the Oliveri household. We restored some order.
Mhm.
Good.
There's no more socialist chaos
All right.
going on right now.
Good to
I'm
hear.
in a good mood. When do you start a show with a whiskey tasting? I mean, honestly,
that's a good point.
I was not expecting that.
We had the owner of Three Chord whiskey and bourbon come in, rye whiskey bourbon come in earlier today, and we sampled some of their ware.
some.
Brian Canning came in and he shared some tastings with us, which was pretty cool.
117 proof.
117 proof, yep, and it was like butter.
Yeah.
It was like butterscotch, actually, like a caramely. Made my face happy, almost as happy as it is when I walk in. I see Christian.
Wait, so this is your
Yes,
happy
This
face?
is my happy face, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You don't want to see my unhappy face, trust me.
Oh, it's probably ugly.
All right, I think we got our first guest on the line. Our first guest recently retired after serving 4 terms as the sheriff of Milwaukee County, president of Ranger Zook LLC Consulting, graduated FBI National Academy and the FBI National Leadership Institute, also a best-selling author. We have with us tonight Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, you on the air with us?
Yes, I am. Good to hear from you guys.
Good to hear you. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. I tell you what, a lot of folks don't realize. I mean, you've been on so many different shows and platforms here to promote the law enforcement community, and everything that comes up is Milwaukee Sheriff, Milwaukee Sheriff, Milwaukee Sheriff. And I think a lot of folks don't realize that you served 24 years in the Milwaukee Police Department before that. So this is a lifetime of service in the law enforcement community, and I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's the thing I'm most proud of is I got to wear the uniform of my community for nearly 4 decades in a very important role in our society. As you guys know, and thank you for your service as well, but as you know, without the American law enforcement officer, societies and neighborhoods would collapse into chaos, and we're seeing some of that happen today as police are once again under assault.
Unfortunately, that comment is 100% accurate. Where they're defunding this was it Seattle Chief Best retired, basically said, look, you guys are taking away the funding. You're cutting staff. It's impossible to manage a police department when you continually cut us, whether it be in staffing or funding or just lack of support. We're losing cities here. It's just unheard of.
What's interesting is, well, first of all, this call for defunding and whatnot is nothing more than a knee-jerk reaction. What can best be described as an anomaly that occurred in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we all saw it. I called it a one-off. I called it an outlier. It's not something, that type of incident doesn't happen that often, fortunately, in the United States, but to take and smear an entire profession and use it as a catalyst to attack this profession, I find very disheartening. So since I retired, it was about 3 years ago, I made it a new mission. First of all, I'm fighting for freedom and liberty in America. I'm also fighting to defend this profession that's been very good to me over the last 4 decades. And and the law enforcement officers on the front line are being unfairly maligned, mischaracterized as something that they're not. They're, smeared with this lie about them being bloodthirsty and, shooting black males as if it's some sort of sport. It's all a big lie, but it has served to ignite this push against the American police officer. Here's who the culprits are, in my view, and it's important for people to know that this is just my view, but I've had a pretty good purge with which to witness some of this stuff. But here are the main culprits in this war on police. It's the slime from Black Lives Matter and Antifa, Democrat politicians. You have a biased and agenda-driven liberal media, and you have overzealous state prosecutors looking to serve up the head police officers on platters to appease cop haters and build their careers off of it. You put all that together, and then you start talking about defunding. First of all, I know a little bit about law enforcement budgets. As a sheriff, I had to put one together every year, and it's a fight when you go in before the county board or your town council or your city council to get dollars. It's always a fight. No agency in America has all of the resources that they need, all of the funding, and so to take away at a time when budgets are short anyway, I think is just despicable.
Well, you hit it. You hit it on the head earlier when you said that the liberal news media is also has partial responsibility in this. When you were on CNN with Don Lemon, I mean, you couldn't get a word in edgewise with the guy. I mean, he just he'd ask you a question and then you tried to answer it your best you can. Just like watching like congressional hearings and Senate confirmation hearings where everything is they're looking for a yes/no answer. They ask a question and there's no basis to the question. And then when you try to defend it, you just kind of shut down. I mean, at one point he said, hey, if you don't like it, you can leave. And thank goodness you stuck it out there and continue to get the message across because those folks are not our friends.
Well, Don Lemon did, and I had been interviewed by him before, so we were known to each other. But they usually have gone, pretty cordial. But I'll tell you what, it really got to me when he sat up there right after 5 Dallas police officers had been assassinated by a guy saying he was defending Black Lives Matter, and then 3 Baton Rouge, Louisiana officers were also murdered. And then you had 2 in New York, 2 of New York's finest, Wenjin Liu and Rafael Ramos, gunned down in their cruisers in a Brooklyn borough by a guy who said he was killing law enforcement officers for Black Lives Matter. So, the liberal media, CNN, but it's all of them. It's the New York Times, it's the Washington Post, it's MSNBC, it's the Huffington Post. I can go on and on and on. Have been waging this propaganda war, putting up false statistics, blowing stuff out of proportion, police incidents, and it's had a detrimental effect, and it has also egged on people to attack police officers. And so, Don Lemon tried to act like CNN's hands were clean, and I made it clear that they weren't clean, and I pointed out why. He bit off more than he could chew that night, and he found out that
yes,
he barked
he did.
up the wrong tree.
Most of them do.
Yes, he did.
And you were hitting on the topic on that episode as well. When we think back of when this anti-police rhetoric really began, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, was with Ferguson, Missouri, and the fact that the news media, even the president, on day one, was condemning these officers for something that didn't happen. The whole hands up, don't shoot didn't happen. And the witness recanted that once he was presented with, hey, there's actually video of the confrontation, and if you care to go forward with your version, this is perjury now at this point. And then all of them, it unfortunately you couldn't undo what had already started, especially when the leader of the free world stands up there and is hooting and hollering as well. We look to our leaders, our politicians, whether it's local mayors or governors or as high up as the president, which, by the way, you didn't before then. Presidents didn't get involved in things like this. A police shooting that was handled on a much lower level, almost like waiting for something to blow up. And they jumped on that, and they will continue to seize the opportunity of anything there's a potential for rioting and just to get their false narrative out. They're gonna jump out of the gate, and you can't undo that, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I mean, that's how it's going to. Sorry.
Look, former President Obama, I called him the cop hater in chief, and I can explain. Police acted, Cambridge, that's it. The police acted stupidly in going out there and doing their job. Then he signed a bill that was passed by Congress, Republican Congress, that would use monies to set up a system to get early warning information, real-time intelligence to law enforcement agencies when there's a cop killer on the loose. That basically came as a result of the Winston Liu and Rafael Ramos case, where this guy traveled 2-3 states unbeknownst to officers in those states that this cop killer was on the loose. And after the bill was signed, it sat at the DOJ with Eric Holder. They never implemented it. They never implemented the system. And when Holder was asked about why he didn't, he said, well, we haven't figured out how to do it yet. And I thought, you piece of you-know-what.
Yeah.
So that's number two. And then the other thing Obama did was he ended the 1080 program, the one that allows law enforcement officers to purchase surplus military equipment like ballistic shields, ballistic helmets, to protect their officers. And he ended that program. So I call him a cop hater in chief. I just proved it as to why. Some of this, as you guys know, I can get very political. That's through no fault of the law enforcement officers. We've been dragged into the middle of this ring by the media, by cop haters, into this political arena, put right square in the middle of the ring. The only thing that we can do now to fight our way out of it is to become political. So if there's some people, and I know this is probably not in your audience, who think that sometimes I get too political about this, I say, you know what? I can back up everything I say with data, with research. None of this stuff is just off the top of my head, and we can sit down and have a longer discussion. I don't mean you fellas and myself. I'm talking about those that don't agree with me to make a lot of what's happening to law enforcement officers political. It is very political.
Well, it's unfortunate because, in this profession, you will always be blamed for our actions, and you can blame it on politics. Like, oh, well, you wouldn't have done that if you were this or you were that. And, for years, like the New York City PBA had never endorsed a presidential candidate. And there's a reason for that. They endorsed the local Congress and Senate and whatnot that helped our citizens here on a local level. And the political war on law enforcement is at a level that, we certainly never would have thought could possibly happen. They're just, at every single turn, we're running into the same stuff. And unfortunately, it's the silent majority does nothing. You have your left-leaning liberals on one side, hooting and hollering, screaming for the heads of, and then you don't have the right really being vocal against that, and that's an issue. That's a problem. That's a problem. There shouldn't be politics involved in. Politics aren't involved in healthcare. I mean, on the level of a doctor in a hospital, on the broader spectrum, it is when you look at Obamacare versus the Healthcare Act and whatnot. But then on the local level, in the hospital, doctors aren't accused, nurses aren't accused, teachers aren't accused of doing their jobs differently towards anyone, but yet we are attacked at every angle. For just that, which how do you not? It's got to get political now. There's really no choice. No, because if you're gonna, you got to win at the politics. I was an elected guy as a sheriff in Milwaukee County. You mentioned it at the onset. I got elected and reelected and served 4 terms. So there's something very political when you have to get elected to hang on to your position. And so I learned early on. You mentioned it too. I spent 24 years with the City of Milwaukee Police Department, came up through the ranks. I was a command officer before I became the sheriff. And, one thing I had to learn, when I became a sheriff, I just wanted to lead a law enforcement agency. I wanted to be the chief executive, help set policy, help make the community safer, so on and so forth. But I learned early on that if I didn't get better at the politics, I wasn't going to last long because it's a cutthroat business. And so you learn very quickly and very early that sometimes you're going to get dragged into the politics, so you better have some political skills. And that's what I think is missing right now from
when they worked under me than they do and with what you guys are seeing on TV today unfold, where these officers are just taking a pounding and nobody's standing up for them.
Well, I think a big problem with that is that they're not answering. So you got these chiefs and commissioners that some of them answer to a mayor, but some of them answer to a civilian board, a board of board of
commissioners,
commissioners,
yep.
or public safety board that know nothing about policing
At all.
So most of the mayors, they don't really know much about policing either, but they put that trust in the person they choose to lead the department. And now you have to answer to 8 or 10 people that hate your guts. And at every turn, and I'm sure, and I'm not even going to say I'm sure, I know for a fact that you ran into that very problem. When you had to answer to a board, when you had to fight a board to say, hey, my guys need these Glock 9mm to be safer. We need the edge that we don't have right now, and I need 500 Glock 9mm, and they fight you on that because what they look at a dollar sign. Well, that cost whatever that figure was, but then when you break it down, it's like $175 a gun, $175 per officer to get this gun. That's necessary. Another tool that you need to do your job. So, like you say, in the politics, you're arguing with people. It's like arguing with my 10-year-old about police work. He doesn't know anything about it. And you had did it for what 06, 10 for 12, 13 years. No, you did 12 and then 2. Yeah, so 13 years of that. I can't even imagine. And the bottom line is what you're saying is all I wanted to do is I wanted to command the precinct, the department. I wanted to make policy change. I wanted to make people safer. I wanted to take care of my men and women. And yet you just run into a wall everywhere you went.
Well, I still want to see a lot more intestinal fortitude from these chiefs. And I understand the position that they're in because I was there. Mm-hmm. So they can't look at me and say, well, how do you know, Clarke, you weren't there? Yes, I was, and faced many of these fights. But I'll tell you what, I did not back down. And the thing that I had in my favor is that under the Wisconsin Constitution, every state's a little different. It's very clear. It says the sheriff reports is accountable. The sheriff is accountable only to the voters of the county. No other county official can direct him or her or tell them what to do, how to run it, so on and so forth. Now, when it came down to budgets, the county board, they hold the purse strings. But I had a little more leverage in that they could not enact policy. Mm-hmm. All right, they could not tell me, for instance, well, no, you shouldn't use tear gas. They could not do that sort of thing. So I understand what these chiefs are under, but they need to have if they don't have the courage to stand up, maybe they ought to let somebody else do the job.
Well, they're also worried about their job. It's most of them are 6-figure jobs. They're being taken care of. Which is a terrible motivation to want to do that job. Like
it's a horrendous motivation.
No one became a cop for the money. I'll tell you right now. I don't care where you work in this country. Right. You did not become a police officer for the money because it just ain't there, right? Yep. So, yep. But I guess higher up you go, there's more perks. It's a power thing, certainly. But you're right. If you can't do the job, we need to get someone in there that can. Like we had Chief Craig on from Detroit PD last week. He's got a great. Everywhere the man went, he's been successful. But he's also had the support of his mayors. Democratic mayors have supported him, and he's able to get it done. Like that guy's the role model. You're the role model for these chiefs and these commissioners to say, hey, you know what? I can be vocal to protect my officers and not worry about losing my job or not getting weekends off.
Yeah, these getting back to the issue of these budget cuts, they're having catastrophic consequences for rising crime rates. And I'm sure you guys have heard many of the stories. You look at homicides are up in New York 23%. Shootings were up in June 200%. You have in Milwaukee, the murder rate is up 125%, the highest in the nation. LAPD had their budget cut by $140 million. They're experiencing a spike in shootings and a 250% increase in homicides to start the month of June. You go to Minneapolis, they had their budget cut. They've seen a 46% increase in stolen vehicles. And, it just goes on and on and on. Denver is looking at a record homicide rate so far this year in the last 10 years, and they're talking about cutting their budget. So everyone's facing this is having catastrophic impact on the citizens that they serve. And apparently the politicians who are making these cuts, don't feel accountable to the voters. But, at some point there's got to be some pushback because, like I said, with these rising crime rates, the quality of life in these cities is going to hell in a handbasket. And these things don't turn on a dime. They're not going to be able to just turn this off at some point in time and say, oh, okay, let's reverse course and think it's going to pop back quickly. It took 3 decades for New York to experience the great crime decline, where they had the record crime decreases in all major Part 1 crimes, felony crimes. 3 decades have been wiped out in about 3 months. Think about that.
Yep.
It's going to take a very long time to come back from this.
Well, they went from like 71, 72, New York City in 1971, 72. Their police shootings were, 900, 800 a year, down to like 60 and 70. So that speaks volumes in itself. The fact that the police did not have to shoot 700 people this year to keep crime down. So they're doing their job. But the crime rate is just, you're right, it's through the roof. I mean, they have cities asking for government assistance. The president is offering. I mean, is the military even an option? Do you send, not even the National Guard? I don't know what branch. I mean, Homeland Security's got the largest uniformed police department in the country. Do we start deploying them into places? I mean, in Oregon, in Portland, so the Oregon State Police, they actually withdrew the state police from Portland.
Right.
They said, look, we're not going to use our resources to protect this city when the DA, what's his name, Murphy or something, the new guy just came in. Yeah, he's turned around and saying we're not going to prosecute these people. So Oregon State Police said, listen, if we're not going to prosecute them, why are we here? We need to concentrate our resources in places where criminal prosecution was still a priority. And they pulled them out. And that's what's happening. And it's going to continue to happen.
There's another part of this that's troublesome for me, and it's the mental health aspect that it's taking on our men and women on the front lines here. Police suicides in 2018, 228 police suicides, blue suicides. And it was a record number of years. Now, suicide is the leading cause of death of law enforcement officers. It's outpacing deaths in the line of duty. Think about this.
Crazy.
The long working hours, the stress that they're under, no political support. It's taking a heavy toll on the mental health aspect. I always hear, and you guys have probably heard the same thing, whenever some criminal commits some dastardly deed, he had mental health issues. We need to get him some mental health. But I don't hear anybody calling for more mental health options, care for law enforcement officers. Look at what we ask them to do on a daily basis, for heaven's sakes. I think some of this is humane. And you know what? Cops don't whine about it. We don't whine about it. We just go out there. We do what we signed up to do, but at the same time, there's a human aspect to this that I wish a few more people would understand and start to realize as we beat these cops down to nothing and then, send them out into the field. You see the suicide numbers are up. That's why I said this isn't going to turn around on a dime. This is going to have a catastrophic impact on this profession for a very long time. You get resignations are up, retirements are up. I heard a report today, the Chicago Police Department, their retirements are up 50%. People are leaving this profession. All of that institutional knowledge is walking out the door. That's not easy to replace. This is a mess, guys.
And Sheriff, you hit the nail on the head. We were talking about this with retired NYPD Lieutenant Peter Pranzo last week, and we said how there's really no safe zone for active duty cops right now. The people that we serve are, trashing us. The people that we are working for, our leaders, our political leaders, our bosses are trashing us and abandoning us, like Tommy was saying, where it's this self-preservation game. They're more worried about their job than sticking up for their cops. And obviously the people that we're locking up are trashing us. There really is no safe zone. So you are 1,000% right that the mental stress that there's nowhere to go. Where do they go to feel good about themselves. And then that even extends to at home, where now with the Antifa and the Black Lives Matters that are marching on cops' houses, you have family members that now they're afraid to even put a sticker on their car or to wear a blue line flag shirt because they're afraid of being targeted. So now you get this cop. I mean, all they ever wanted to be was a police officer, and now everywhere they turn, nobody will even touch them. Nobody will associate with them. Nobody will stand up for them. Nobody will back. I mean, you are 100% right that is, the mental stress that is having on our active duty cops now is, it's off the charts. So the $1 million question is, how do we reverse these engines? I know, again, a retired lieutenant had said, well, it's kind of cyclical, and that seems to be the common answer you hear. Well, yeah, the pendulum's going to swing back. I was talking to my old man today, and he actually said exactly what you said. Like, it's almost like the Democrats think like they're going to let this get out of hand to benefit whatever agenda that they're trying to push, and just by magic, it's going to come back and order is going to be restored. A couple months from now, it's not.
No.
It's really
look
not.
how long it took for New York City. Like Sheriff said, it was 20 years of this to get it from the 70s to the 90s, and now it's been thrown out the window in 3 or 4 short months. And then you could look at the numbers on rentals, restaurants, big business. They're not coming back. My own father-in-law, who's got a place in Manhattan and also one out of the city, I was with him this weekend, and I said, "When are you going back?" And he said, "Why would I go back? Like, what's there for me?" He's a big food guy. They love eating out in restaurants. His wife is a foodie. She writes food articles. She went to culinary school. There's nothing there for them, and they're in their 80s and 70s. They're the money in New York City. Big business leaves, and then you're left with folks that retired and have a place here and someplace else, and they're saying, Cuomo 2 weeks ago begging, guys, please come back. I'll cook for you. I'll buy you a drink. That's not going to cut it.
He's got to buy food and a drink, otherwise you get COVID.
Well, it's I don't see.
Well, here's the thing. It's a great question. What do we do? What's the way forward? What's the end game for this? And I'll attack this like I do most big problems. I ask, how do you eat an elephant? One spoonful at a time. So we're going to need multiple interventions to deal with this. Multiple interventions. One of the things that law enforcement needs to look to is their unions, their FOPs. They have leverage, and I don't think they realize how much leverage they have. Like I said to start the show out, when the social order collapses, the city moves into chaos, and the law enforcement officers, the one that's what come up with this thin blue line concept, we're the ones holding it together. So as budgets are being cut, I would like to see unions and FOPs play a larger role in terms of going to these politicians and saying, look, we're only going to put up with so much more of this crap, and otherwise we're going to take a step back. Now it's hard because the chiefs won't do it, the command officers won't do it, but the unions have protection. The politicians can't really screw with them. It is time for us to put together a list of demands to start with.
Yep.
Take it to the city council, take it to the mayor, take it to the governor. Here's what we want. Everybody else is out there making demands, putting out a list of demands. We should start that too. I think that would be a game changer. I really do. I never thought, after nearly 40 years, I never thought that I would be in a position where I might, say that maybe it's time for labor action. And I'm not talking about a general strike, but there's certain things cops can do. Right? You just answer the 911 call. That's all you do. There's no revenue coming in from traffic enforcement.
Yep.
There's certain areas of the city, we mentioned the crime rates are going to continue to go up. You just kind of look and go, well, we don't have the resources. There's not much we can do. So I think that would be very important. We also have to realize another area of leverage that FOPs and unions have to realize. We have the overwhelming support of the people we serve.
Absolutely.
It polls
Absolutely.
that like 60, 70, 80% of people support police and are against defunding it. So we've got to use that as leverage to go to these elected officials and say, hey, look, you see all these people behind us we're trying to protect? We're coming after you unless these demands are met. But we have to put together a list of demands, and they got to be reasonable, right? But I'm saying that we have to start to get into that mindset because that's the age that we're in right now. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We're not looking for anybody to feel sorry. But nobody's going to reverse course until they see we got our ducks in a row and we got this whole army of citizens behind us that have had it, and we're willing to take action off of it. So there's just a couple things I want to throw out that I think that can be done. But there is no holding on. There is no, we're in retreat in some areas. This stuff's got to stop.
I think a big part, you hit it on the unions, but it's not just the police unions. I think if they actually sit down, now the PBA in New York City, the PBA is the largest police union. I think there's something like 80,000 active and retired members of the Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. I think, and for years we always set the tone. The PBA set the tone for negotiations and contracts when it came to Department of Sanitation, when it came down to FDNY. I think they need to sit down with the healthcare workers union, the nurses, the teachers union, which, by the way, both of them have here in New York City. Leaders in those unions have come out against police. Teachers union saying, "Hey, we don't want the cops in schools." Listen, if you're not on board with us, the nurses and those doctors in those ERs are going to get overwhelmed with shooting victims. You think COVID was bad when they were working 20-hour days and couldn't go home? When the shootings which are only going to get worse, the numbers are going to increase, is going to increase their workload. The teachers, when you take the cops, the school resource officers out of the schools, the little junior Jimmy and Mary, who a year ago wouldn't have thought about punching a teacher in the face or taking a knife out and stabbing them because there was a cop there at a metal detector, they're going to start doing that. And that's when they're going to wake up and go, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe we're on. Now, this, again, we don't put them all. My wife's a teacher. Josh's wife's a teacher. We know, like you said, a majority of society supports us. But when you have a union leader or someone that's speaking on behalf of the union, they don't represent the 10,000 members or 30,000 members they have. You need to get them on board and say, look, if we're allowed to work and have the support of the city, then we'll make your job easier. Because you're not going to be bandaging people up. You're not going to be bandaging yourself up in science class when little Joey, picks up the Bunsen burner and smashes your face in with it. Because that's what's going to happen. So I think we get together with the other unions as well, not just the FOPs, not just the police unions, but the other ones that will be affected. The sanitation union, I think eventually they're going to cut down on garbage pickups. Are we good?
We dropped them.
What happened?
The call dropped?
Yeah, it dropped.
Oh,
This is
my
like
God.
driving in the tunnel when you're having a conversation with your wife or your friend, and then you got to go, where did we lose you? And they got to repeat all the conversation.
Technical difficulties.
Christian, what did we tell you?
Yeah, I know. Good job, Chris.
So,
You were the
There he is.
sheriff.
There he is.
yeah, we got cut.
Oh, sorry,
That's
sir. I'm sure it's on our end. The booth here is a mess. Look at him. He's
mad.
There's smoke coming out of his ears right now.
Jacob is so bad. Don't be mad, Jacob.
So what I was saying is I think that the police unions need to get together with the other unions like the nurses and the teachers and kind of get together and say, hey, we're all in this together. This isn't just a police issue because if we can't police, that means your ERs are going to be overloaded. That means the schools are going to be affected when these brazen young people feel like they can get away with whatever they want to get away with in a classroom because the SROs, the school resource guys, aren't there. So I don't think it's just a police union thing. I think it's a whole citywide thing. You say, we can have a list of demands, quote unquote, or changes that we need to see. But I think collectively they need to sit down and say, hey, how do we save this city? How does Portland save its city? How does Minneapolis save its city? And the answer isn't just police. I think they need to all get together and figure that out.
Yeah, I think what I would advise, though, is starting with all of the police labor organizations within the state and getting everybody on the same singing out the same sheet of music first.
Unite the
Now,
clans.
obviously, there's strength in numbers.
Sure.
There's strength in numbers with some of these other occupations that you mentioned. Nurses, I think, hospital care workers would be a good one. Teachers, I'd be a little leery of. Don't forget, they're the ones feeding these kids all this crap about how bad cops are, so on and so forth. And then what you don't want the politicians to do, because it's a game of chess. You don't want them to pit one union against the other and get all of us fighting amongst ourselves, and then we forget that it's, one for all and all for one. So there's some landmines there, and there's some traps. But if you know what they are going in, you can avoid some of them. But I would start with getting all the police unions in the state to team up and have a single list of demands that cross agencies. That they're, because we have similar issues, similar problems. You mentioned when the state police and on Oregon backed out because they weren't getting any political support, from going into the city of Portland. And that's an example of when I say there's some things that cross jurisdictional boundaries that are important to us. And I think that if you can get the state agencies involved with the city one, the county ones, I'm talking about the labor organizations within police, we all go in and say, we want these resources, we want this, we want better protection from these incidents that we get involved in. Maybe have a prosecutor outside of that area investigate someone who isn't as politically motivated as like the prosecutor from Cook County in Chicago, that Kim Fox, who just hates cops.
Oh, Jesus.
If I'm a Chicago police officer get involved in a shooting, I wouldn't want her investigating it. I'd want to go to some outside, more friendly, fair-minded prosecutor to have him investigate. But you'd have to ask for that in this list of demands because, in Cook County anyway, as in most of these counties, it is the jurisdiction of that local prosecutor. But you can get the law changed and say, no, it's not. It's going to be farmed out, outside of this area for more fairness and more equity in terms of a determination.
Well, that's the problem in Portland, that when you have the DA come out and say, we're not going to prosecute, a host of these crimes, what is going to motivate a police officer? And honestly, I'm going to say a number like 90% of police officers go above and beyond. Simple. There's 10% that, and correct me if I'm wrong, 10% that just are here for a job, they collect the check, they come to work, and that's before this craziness. You go back 2 years that are, and we all know them. We all work with guys.
Millennials. Sorry,
We've all worked with men and women. You're like, this person is an empty suit. They're just here for whatever it is they're here for, and that's fine. But 90% do go above and beyond. Right, they do, and now they're not, and they're not because what's important to them is going home tonight to their families and getting the protection. Yeah, survival.
Yep.
I can't afford to grapple with some guy on the street and then think I'm going to get fired tomorrow. I have a mortgage. I have kids in college. I have all of these things that I'm going to lose, and the knee-jerk reaction, like we said earlier, is simply fire them now. We're worried about it later.
Yep.
Right. The cop in Atlanta. Cop in Atlanta. Fire him now. We'll worry about it later. And so, what does that cop do while you're worrying about it?
Right. And then they're talking about eliminating qualified immunity, things like that. Those are the things that have to push back on very ferociously. But I think that's where the labor organizations can come in. They're the ones that can go to Albany or the state capitol and somewhere else and press for legislation. Probably many of the legislators living outside of New York City are probably more friendly toward law enforcement officers. Maybe you can get some legislation changed, but we got to have a list, that we all sign off on and say, hey, these are the top 10 things that we want to see, or else, and what's their reaction.
So, besides the obvious, having the support of the councils and the mayors, if you could pick one or two things off the top of your head, do you think would make a huge impact to reverse this insanity, besides the simple support of the folks that should be supporting us? Is there any one or two things you might implement that you think would be tremendous in a change? So even if you pick a place like Milwaukee. So in Milwaukee, they have the DNC. 100 different police agencies turned around and said, we're not coming in to provide protection to this because of this, the rules that you have in place, the fact that we're going to get attacked and you're not going to prosecute folks. If you had a blanket policy, could you pick one or two things that you think would be substantial in reversing this tide?
Well, one of the things that I would look at is to get the feds involved in terms of prosecution in the U.S. Attorney's Office. You have more likelihood that the the case is going to happen, an indictment's going to come down, and then you have stiffer penalties. There is no bail at the federal level. There is no, these inane ideas like no prosecution or leniency. I'm talking about where there's probation given and second chances and so on and so forth. So I'd look at utilizing the federal code, which is more certainty in being charged and more certainty in a conviction and a person spending a longer period of time in prison. Because once we get these guys off the streets, you have to keep them off the streets. And right now, that's not likely to happen with some of these politically motivated prosecutors. You're not going to be able to go in and get them to change their mind and change course. They're all in on this crap. They're all in with, this slime movement, Black Lives Matter. They're all on board. They're all trying to make careers off of it. So we're going to have to find some new friends, and I think the federal government is the federal prosecution, DOJ, is the first place I'd look.
Well, we have a very serious problem here in New York where the AG, Letitia James, has filed suit to disband the NRA. She's claiming
called
that
a terrorist organization.
Yeah, well, she's claiming that they misused funds and they directed funds in places they shouldn't have directed funds at. So basically, in New York being New York, let's take away the guns and let's defund the police. Therefore, you no longer have a way to protect yourself. So when you call 911, no one's gonna come, and then when they come in your house, you have no means to protect yourself. So, here in the New York State Assembly, they all bow down to Cuomo. So whatever Cuomo says, he gets. I don't see that changing in any time in the near future. I'm hoping that maybe that will change, but I think a lot of places are running into the same problem, is that when you have a government that's got one ideology, it's kind of hard to get anyone to go against them. And that's going to be a big struggle, I think.
Yeah, Cuomo, you touched something here. Thousands of elderly people to their deaths, forcing them into senior care facilities with COVID,
and had hospitals.
To get out of a guy like that.
He had the hospital.
Yeah.
He had the
Here's
hospital,
the other thing
and he had the ship, and he didn't use it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you have so few resources anyway to deal with this stuff. I don't know why, other than the usual, the politics, why the AG would get involved in going after the NRA, other than the politics, right? It's a gun organization. They've been after the NRA forever, and they think they have them on the ropes. But that kind of stuff, if all the things that are described in the indictment, I didn't read the whole thing, but read parts of it. I'm a member of the NRA.
Of course.
Not happy about the way the money was spent. But you know what? That's for the membership to take care of.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the membership that should oust these people. It's the membership that should be, watching the money. The AG of New York could care less about the membership of the NRA. He's not trying to protect them or watch their money.
Correct.
They could make the same case against Planned Parenthood. They could make the same case against the Congressional Black Caucus that the New York Times did a very in-depth study on. And so they can't claim racism because it was the New York Times that did it, that talked about how money raised by the Congressional Black Caucus was squandered on stuff like expensive hotels, taking trips to Caribbean islands. And when they laid out the spending, I thought, well, that's similar to what they're claiming that the NRA was doing. So why don't they go after the Congressional Black Caucus? Well, because that's one of their allies. But Planned Parenthood the same way, when it was discovered that they were harvesting and selling baby parts, for heaven's sake, of aborted fetuses to the highest bidder. So when you want to talk about what they're doing, what the AG is doing with the NRA, it's just pure raw politics.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
But again, on the local level, for her to get involved in that's not her fight. That's not her fight. If anyone's going to make that fight, it's the AG. It's Barr. That's his job. That's not. I mean, again, it's not like the NRA is exclusive to New York. If it was a strictly New York-based organization, I have an idea. Why don't you look into the money that De Blasio's wife, the $1.2 billion that's unaccounted for? You as the AG, you want to look into something? Look into that. Yeah. Look into that. But obviously, that's not going to happen. And again, we're not a political show, but it all comes back to the politics. All come back to the way law enforcement is treated. So unfortunately,
you can't escape it. It's naive to think it's not. It's just right. I don't want it to be political all the time, but the reality is that it is political all the time.
Yep. Well, they made it. They made it that way, and I think you had even said it earlier. We really had no choice. We were dragged into it. I mean, anybody that wears a shield right now, if you're ignorant to the fact that the large majority of the laws and the rules and everything that's making your job harder is coming from the left. If you're ignorant to that fact, you're just not paying attention. I mean, and they're not even trying to hide it. Like, they don't even care.
No.
I mean, and this is...
But they don't hide it because they're not they're not accountable for it. It's one thing if you had to stand in front of a board of people and like a congressional hearing or a Senate hearing, and you had to actually answer for what you did, then it would be very different reaction here. But there's no accountability. They do what they want. The Cuomo doesn't have to answer. Cuomo doesn't do pressers where he takes questions from people. He sits it there and he says what he's going to say and then he leaves. De Blasio's the same thing. The minute they actually can take questions from people that will challenge them, they will fold like a house of cards. Yep. But that won't happen.
Well,
they control it.
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Gentlemen, I got to go. I got to take some more calls here.
All right, sure. Thank you so much. Can you just give us a quick bit on the book, Cop Under Fire? Beyond hashtags race, crime, and politics for greater America. I'd love to hear a little bit about that before you go.
It's kind of a blueprint of a lot of my views, relative to those issues that I talk about in the subtitle, race, crime, and politics for a better America. And, I do, like you mentioned, a lot of TV, radio. You have to talk in sound bites other than a platform like this, a podcast. You have to talk in sound bites. And you don't get to explain what you mean when you say some of the things you do. So when I call, for instance, Black Lives Matter a slime group, slime organization, slime movement, I could spend time in a chapter and I can lay it out, much like I did calling Obama the copy-editor-in-chief. I laid it out. I gave 3 examples. I could come up with more. So the book goes into detail into some of my views, some of my experiences, and they're just mine. Everyone has different experiences, different views, but I had an opportunity to put it together in a book, and it came together nice, but it explains a lot of these things that I talk about on TV, but I don't get to talk about in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight and speaking in depth. I know, when you do the bigger shows there, you get 10, 12 minutes or whatnot, and we were grateful for you to spend the time that you did here, and we were happy to give you the space to really, say what you wanted to say. It's really appreciated. At no other time, and this in law enforcement history has voices like yours are necessary to get our cops through it, because that's what going to take. Like I said, Pranzo last week was pendulum this, and it's moving, it's getting better, but they need to hear it from people like you,
we need
that lived it, that did it, and honestly, specifically a male black. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes when folks like you will turn around and call out Black Lives Matter for what they really are. I get called names when I do that. Josh will get called something different.
I get called names for any reason. Let's be honest.
To have the support,
I get shit on
to
for
have
anything.
the support, and you identify it and recognize it for what it is so appreciated and so necessary. It really is.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, and I want to end just by saying this: Blue lives matter.
Outstanding.
You got it, Chief.
Exactly, yes.
Outstanding.
All right, you have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
Sheriff.
you for joining
Be
us.
safe.
Take care, Sheriff.
You do the same.
All right, God bless.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Jacob, why don't we take hey, you want to do a quick read, Christian?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll do a quick read.
Why not do a quick read?
Yeah, that's what the advertisers are paying for. We'll do a quick read.
Chris can read?
There's lots of pictures on the page.
Go ahead, man.
He scored a 9-10.
Just
Really?
stop. Why is it going to be like that, bro?
Exactly, why?
Milwaukee, MIL.
Well, that wasn't my fault.
That was his fault anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Tri-State Health and Wellness Medical Center, providing medicine, physical therapy, and many more wellness programs. Exceptional service with little to no wait time. Visit Dr. Alex today, or just go to www.bluetristate.com.
I think he said therapy.
Outstanding.
I'm not sure,
Doesn't
but
matter.
that's
Pronunciation.
Pizza.
Pizza.
All right, guys, we'll be
Perfect.
back in 4 minutes. We're going to go give Christian another bourbon and probably some chicken or something. Keep him happy.
Beautiful.
Whatever.
All right, Jacob, take us out.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers before others. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com. And now, back to the program. ddbradio.com.
And we're back. Wow, what a great segment. What a great piece, Sheriff Clarke.
Dude, he's phenomenal, man. He's a monster.
You know what I love about him is he doesn't give a shit. He's a gentleman, and so he wouldn't call out people by name. But in a closed discussion, in a closed room, we could sit around this table, and he would tell exactly which cities what they need to do and why, like, those cities are burning to the ground.
The thing that I love the most is he identifies the same thing that I've identified, because you had. I'm not gonna say I take issue with you because I know you're a diva and I don't want to get you all cranked up. But You're very quick to point to Ferguson as the start of this shit, and it really isn't. What the sheriff had pointed out was it was Cambridge in 2009 with Obama, where
I don't remember that very well.
Because you were like 4.
No, I wasn't in freshman in high school.
I wasn't even in his country yet.
While the reaction to that incident, was a little bit different than Ferguson. The big difference there is you had the highest elected official in the land, the most powerful man in the world, let alone the United States, telling society that it was okay. And his exact words were, I know I wasn't there, I didn't witness anything firsthand, and I don't have all the facts yet. Look up his statement if you think I'm making it up. Those are all. He goes, although I wasn't there, I didn't witness anything firsthand, and I don't have all the facts yet. I think we all can agree that the police acted stupidly.
How can you say that?
So the highest elected official in the land told you, as a citizen of anywhere, that it's okay, absent of witnessing something, having all the facts, to assume that the police are wrong.
And this wasn't even like a major, like a police incident. This was a professor, a male black African-American professor who was away on vacation, came home to his house, and a neighbor saw him fidgeting with the door, called 911. The cops showed up. The door was open. The cops came in. Now, listen, I know where I worked. I know where you work. I don't know every resident of every apartment or of every house.
Right.
So they started questioning him. What are you doing here? I'm the owner. Well, okay, now you need to prove you're the owner because your neighbor, who probably knows the owner, called and said that there was suspicious male on the porch trying to get in the door. He was like fumbling for his keys or whatnot. And it was all easy peasy, no worries at all. And then this turned into this big old, like, the cops are idiots. We'll sit down and have a beer over this. Beergate, I think they called it at one point. No, we're not having a beer over this.
The beer summit.
The
beer summit.
So basically, he made a small, tiny issue to a big.
It was a non-issue. Police were called to a house of a guy trying to get into...
Non-issue or not, the President of the United States did not
have to
belong.
Get,
he didn't. Not only have to not get involved, but he did not belong making a statement like that. And again, like I said, that just empowered all these people who are already predisposed to hating cops anyway.
Keep in mind that Obama, his main agenda is to fundamentally change America.
Well, he's a globalist. Yeah. He's
and look what he did. He started, the Cambridge incident. I thought it was Ferguson, honestly, to be honest with you.
Well, that's what Tommy always said, but Tommy's wrong. And
I think Ferguson made it further, I guess, right?
Well, it put fuel on the fire.
Right.
But again, it didn't. There weren't riots and protests in Cambridge, Massachusetts over this. It was him interjecting his opinion on something he knew nothing about because it was a male black who owned the house and a male white police officer. It had nothing to do with race.
I think we can agree that the police acted stupidly. Shut the...
Listen,
with all due respect, shut the fuck up. Yeah, I mean, listen,
Honestly,
if you
listen.
say with all due respect.
Honestly, he may be all eloquent. He may be all educated, quote unquote. I'll say brainwashed at this point, but he
I think
really.
you're brainwashed.
Brain-
Actually,
Shut
I
up.
think you probably need a brain first.
But
though.
he really fucked up the fabric of law enforcement.
Would you stop
basically.
saying the F word's a family show?
You're going to upset my mother. She's very upset about how much I fucking curse.
We got rid of Eric because
Why
of that.
you shouldn't be talking? You just did it right now.
That's not true.
All right, do we have our next caller on the line? All right, so our next guest here, 20 years in the NYPD, New York City Staten Island resident Bill Pepitone is running for mayor. Bill, you with us?
God bless you.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Hey,
Bill,
Bill, how's it
how are
going,
We're doing
brother?
good, thank you.
How are you?
Good, doing great.
Did
Thanks for having me on.
were you able to listen to a little bit of Sheriff Clarke?
I heard most of it. It's an
Yeah,
absolute
he's.
honor to talk
I'll tell you, man.
Sheriff Clarke.
Listen, if you
Big fan of-
if you win, you need to get that guy on your board somewhere because he's
absolutely.
got it, man. He's got it.
Absolutely. He's always welcome in New York City.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's been here. He's been here quite a few times too. But he's just he's a regular guy that can call a spade. Nothing racial about that. Just he sees it like he sees it.
Wow.
He speaks the truth.
yeah,
He's
so-
a voice of reason in an unreasonable world.
Absolutely. So, Bill, 20 years in the NYPD. You actually ran for mayor in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and you were a borough council person there as well. Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, after my retirement, I moved out to Pennsylvania for a short time. Decided to get into politics for pretty much the same reason I'm doing it now. The police department out in our borough was being mismanaged, mishandled by the local government, and I couldn't sit back and watch that. Got involved in the race as a write-in with 6 weeks to go. Almost won. Beat the Republican challenger. Lost to the Democratic incumbent. Turned around and ran for council. Won in a landslide about a year and a half later.
Mhm.
And that was my foray into politics.
So you jumped in, and now you're jumping into the the big pool,
Oh, jeez.
The deep water.
Well,
the deep water, exactly.
Exactly.
So I know a couple of things that you would hit on in your bid now is the broken windows policing, which honestly I lived through it. I think you get on 89, right?
Yes, came out
So
in 89.
I get on 94, and we had a captain, Stephen Schmidt, and we thought he was a lunatic when on Friday night he was having us drive around with the paddy wagon and scooping up guys sitting on milk crates on the corners.
Right.
And the milk crate says, property of, Darrell Farms or whatever the company that owns it, and he would have us lock these guys up for criminal possession of stolen property. It was, and we laughed because I worked in a 4-6. It was a shithole, and it's still a shithole. Shootings every night. Gun runs left, right, and center. I worked in anti-crime. I was very active, and to work there and say to this guy, like, we wouldn't say it to him obviously, but in the locker room and in the bar afterwards, like this lunatic has us locking up guys on milk crates. But you know what? When you locked up a guy in a milk crate on Friday, he was in until Monday. So the broken windows policing works. We know it works.
Obviously,
We know it works.
We know it works, and we've seen it now unfold right before our eyes.
Yep.
The Blasio administration has ignored low-level crimes, the urinating in public, the public intoxication, graffiti, loitering. They've ignored it for 7.5 years, or whatever it may be at this point.
It's not even
And what
ignoring.
it
They
turned into-
decriminalize. He said, we don't want you writing summonses for pissing in public. We don't want you writing summonses for guys smoking weed anymore. You know what? If I walk down, I live in Rockaway Beach. If I walk down the boardwalk with a Budweiser bottle in my hand, exposed, and I'm drinking it, I'm getting stopped, guaranteed, no doubt about it. And I watch and my kids. I have a 14 and a 10, and they say it all the time. Dad, every time we walk on a boardwalk, all I do is smoke. I smell marijuana. That's all they smell, marijuana. It's everywhere. But yet I will get stopped if I crack open a beer and walk down to the beach.
Right. I was in Lower Manhattan recently. Everywhere I went in Lower Manhattan smelled like marijuana. It was just unbelievable. I don't remember it ever being like that.
No.
I remember, and recently when I went to Times Square before the pandemic started, every time I went to Times Square with my friends, weed, random dudes come to me. Oh man, I got the best Coke ever. I'm like, sir, no, thank you. Bye.
Oh, do you have Diet Coke?
yeah.
cocaine? I'm like nothing. I'm not even kidding. Like people just come to you, offer you openly, like in front of, all the people, offer you drugs. So I'm like, what the hell?
Because there's no enforcement for it.
And it's Times Square, like the most family-friendly place in New York City, supposedly, right?
More.
So besides broken windows, any other major policies or things you'd like to talk about that you would be able to change or reinforce, or because when we talked to Sheriff, the question was, if you had a blanket policy for across the country, what are one or two things that you would you implement to make change? And obviously, we're at a much smaller level in New York City, but as the mayor of New York City, like anyone that's elected has huge impact on the direction. A couple of things that that stand out. Obviously crime, economy, homeless. Everyone's going to say the same things, but there's got to be some policy stuff that needs to change to get back the city, because there's really no end in sight.
No, absolutely, and I agree. Broken windows, obviously, that's a priority. The obvious one, other than that, is bringing back street crime, citywide street crime, precinct-level street crime, borough street crime. Those units have to come back.
Yep.
They take guns off the street. They take violent felons off the street. We have to bring them back. That goes without saying. The other thing is, and I know it's controversial, but we have to talk about it, and that's stop, question, and frisk.
Yep.
And I know you say those words right now, and everybody starts to get very uncomfortable, but the fact of the matter is, when we got away from stop, question, and frisk, we gave a green light to everyone to carry firearms. And we only exacerbated that by getting rid of the street crime unit.
But not even the frisk part. When you think about, like right now, they're implementing a stop and question policy when you come over the outer bridge crossing to see what state state you visited, where you're from, and whether or not you were exposed to COVID. So we can stop and question for COVID on the Staten Island Expressway, but we can't stop and question on 183rd Street in Creston in the Bronx to get a gun off the street and save someone's life, which
of course
is
and
insane.
A lot of people don't understand. You don't automatically go to frisk. It's not stop, question, and frisk. It's stop and question. And then as your suspicions are raised and you may think the person has a weapon, you can articulate that, then you go to frisk. It's not an automatic frisk, and people do not understand that.
Yep. And the articulation is key, though. Articulation is key.
Articulation is always key.
Like, you worked in the academy, and you know what? They didn't teach us articulation. You learned that from your time in the street, but that is key. No matter what you do, you can do on this job, you can do anything that you need to do within reason, as long as you can articulate that you did it for the right reason. I've been in court where I heard officers say, "Well, because what? Like, what does that even like? You have to articulate everything you do. But that's life. That's life. When I go home and my wife says, "Hey, how come you didn't do this?" I articulate why I did or didn't do it. My children, the same thing. Like, you've got to explain yourself. You can't just go out and do what you do without explaining that you did it legally. And I think that's a big part of training as well.
That's a huge part of training. And the other issue is we can't let stop and question be a barometer of a police officer's activity and performance. It can't be, go out there and get me 5 stop and questions today. It can't be that. It can't be a line on an activity report.
Nope.
It puts too much pressure on the cops. It causes too many unproductive stops, and that creates the tensions in the community.
But that's all about numbers. That's numbers, though. I mean, your activity report showed summonses. So you're telling me, oh, wait, quote unquote, there's no quota, right? There's no quota. But yet we need to know how many summonses you wrote this month so we can compare it against all the other cops in your squad to make sure you're up to par with them.
And that was the same with stop and question. And that's what caused so many of these problems. We have to get away from that. Let it be a tool that police officers can use. Don't force them to use it. That will change the entire outcome of stop and question in the city.
Yeah. So, Bill. Yeah.
Bill. Yeah, it's Bill.
Okay.
Right.
No, I'm just.
He got all excited because when he heard Pepitone, I was like, I'm like, Christian, no, it's not the baseball player. All right, Joe Pep. Joe Peps is not running for.
I just got caught up right there. But
He gets all excited.
I had to explain it real. I go, it's not the same. I think they're related. I think they're related, but it's not him.
So basically, you said if elected mayor, right, you reinstate, the broken windows policy, stop and frisk. These two are signature policies of Giuliani and Bloomberg. Am I correct?
Correct.
So do you have strategies of your own on how to quell crime in New York City?
Sure, we have a lot of different strategies you can use. Some that have been used before, some of my own that I participated in. One thing that I am a big proponent of is the borough task forces. I was in Brooklyn South Task Force for 14 years. The task forces, I don't know if anybody knows, they've been disbanded and turned into the strategic
Yeah, the
response.
SRUs, right? SRGs?
Yep. Yes, SRGs. The borough task forces used to flood high crime areas, anywhere there were spikes in crime. We used to go there. We were visible. We made arrests. We helped drive crime down in those particular precincts, those particular communities. We also trained on disorder control constantly. And one thing that bothered me so much watching the riots recently was we saw police officers left out there without helmets, without shields. How many police officers did we see get hurt when they found themselves isolated in the street? That did not happen when you had task forces that trained in disorder control constantly. We were never isolated. We were never left alone. We didn't get hurt because we always stayed together. We did not see that, and that's one of the reasons I believe the riots got out of control, as well as the order to stand down, as we all know where that came from.
But they're also being told no hats and bats. Like, they don't want you because you look like a force. Yeah, goddamn right, it's a force. Because I want to go home tonight. I don't want to go to a hospital tonight. I want to go home.
Absolutely. I mean, we'd show up at riots and demonstrations with our helmets, with our shields, with our batons, with our orange mesh, with everything we had, and we used it. And we used it for visibility. We used it for effectiveness from not only a physical standpoint, but a mental standpoint. We looked like we were there to put an end to the riots. We were there to put an end to the disorder control. You did not see that a few months ago.
Right.
So you have a history of in the NYPD, right? Your father, your uncle.
My father came on the job in 1973, and unfortunately was laid off in 1975 during the financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out well. He went over to FD and did 27 years with.
God bless him. God bless him.
Yes.
We used to make fun of those guys when I was on the job, and now I look back, oh man, that was the best thing those guys did.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Almost as good as going to
uncle,
sanitation. Like that's the job now, sanitation.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. And my uncle was a street crime detective.
Oh, awesome.
So basically, I assume that you are familiar with the Post Act, which requires the NYPD to disclose the use of surveillance technology. Honestly, why would they come up with such a policy? That's like saying the Navy SEALs required to disclose other tactics on how to suppress the enemy.
So what they're saying is that in the Post Act that if you do surveillance, you have to report who you did it on and how you did it.
Why?
Right. So what is?
So what went through your mind when you first heard it?
I was just completely befuddled. I mean, what is the purpose of surveillance if you're going to come out and tell everybody who we're looking at, when we're looking at them, and why we're looking at them?
Exactly.
What is the sense?
It should be covertly.
Covertly.
Of course. That's the whole purpose of it. It's intelligence. You don't gather intelligence by telling everybody, this is who we're looking at today, and this is what we're looking for.
Well, that's the same problem. That's the similar problem we're having now with like every police shooting. That when we talked last week with Chief Craig, that from Detroit, that years ago, whatever the case was, nothing was publicly put out there. Like you had to protect the integrity of the investigation by not releasing photos, by not releasing video, but telling no one nothing. Put the case together. If there's a case there, we're going to go forward. If there's no case there, we're not. And now it's like immediately, like in Austin, Texas, they're having a hard time now because there was a police shooting, and the commissioner or the chief there does not want to release the video surveillance from the officers. Now the officers are saying, look, we acted 100% perfectly in good faith, letter of the law, the whole 9 yards. If you release this video, they're going to see this, and they're going to see that we did it right, but they won't release it. So in a reverse case of that, like you didn't want to tip your hat. You didn't say this is what we have. We put the case together and then we went forward. And now it's like if you don't put the video out immediately, there's going to be riots. If you do put it out immediately, it doesn't matter.
No, they're still going to riot.
It does. Atlanta. The video of the officer that shot the guy in the Wendy's parking lot was out immediately, and not from the officer, from bystanders.
Yep.
Yet they still attacked and burned that city down.
Yeah.
They burned. I think they burned that Wendy's down the night after or 2 nights later. And that was as legit as a shooting gets. Yeah. So you're like, you're screwed if you do, you're screwed if you don't. Like, I don't get where policing is going for that. And I don't know how much, pull a mayor. You turn around, if you win this election and you turn around and go, all right, we're gonna pump the brakes right here. We're gonna stop it. We're gonna redo the things that we were doing. Let's get this guy out, this commissioner out, or keep him and put someone in there. It's at that point, it's like, wow, what are the police? How are they going to react? We need to get them back to the way they worked a year ago, and I don't know how that happens, honestly.
I think it happens by. It starts from City Hall with strong leadership. The police have to know that they have a supporter in City Hall. If they believe that the mayor is going to turn around and criticize them and immediately call for them to be fired or call for them to be arrested, the police are not going to do their job. They can't do their job. The ridiculous diaphragm law that we just saw put in place has made it impossible to be a police officer.
Ridiculous.
How do you effect an arrest on a non-compliant subject right now? I don't know how you do that.
You can't.
So I live in the 100th precinct, and the officer there was arrested and charged with strangulation. They guy on the boardwalk was harassing a woman with her kid. Police happened to be either on the boardwalk or there was a 9/11 job. Either way, the cops came there and they fought with this guy, and his arm touched the guy's neck. They locked him up. They got the guy under. They picked him right up. He wasn't choked. He wasn't strangled. There wasn't anything. And now that cop has been charged with strangulation. Like, it's basically saying, okay, you're in a fight for your life, and these are the things you can't do. When you're in a fight for your life, there are no rules. As simple as that. There are no rules. Listen, if you got a guy down on the ground and he's handcuffed, you kick him in the face, then you deserve to get what you get. Right. That's assault. This is not assault. This is a cop that needs to make this arrest that wants to go home to his family. It's insane. It really is. I don't know how that gets undone, but...
Well, I mean, and that's what's always driven me crazy. I've always said, you pick a fight with a stranger on the street, that could go bad for you. You don't know anything about that guy, and like you were saying, if it's a fight for your life, well, that could really go bad. Yeah. For you. Why would you think that picking a fight with a uniformed police officer would be different? Like, where did this concept come that, cops have to fight by rules? You can fight to kill me, but I got to fight by rules. Like, I don't understand where anybody thinks that's okay. Once the perp decides that, all right, I'm going to kill you. Like,
let's ask that question to the city council who voted on that.
Well, the mayor pushed it forward. The mayor pushed it forward.
All right. We shocked?
Well, we taught in the academy, as you guys know, every job you go to, there's a firearm involved. You have one on your hip.
Yep.
You get into a fight with somebody who's trying to kill you, basically. He's trying to kill you. If he renders you unconscious, he's going to take your gun away and end your life.
That cop in the 4-6 2 weeks ago when the kid put him in a headlock where they were locking the other guy up. Like the Bronx DA's office, they threw the charges out against that guy with the pretense that the officer was the aggressor and that the perp was actually defending himself, fighting for his life against the cop. I can't. I mean, and the Bronx is notorious for that. I was involved in a shooting. A guy was shooting at us. We shot him, and they threw that case out. I mean, they dropped that ball. So I have firsthand knowledge of how ineffective the Bronx DA's office is. But for a cop on duty in uniform to be attacked while effecting a lawful arrest, put in a headlock, and then they arrest that guy later on, only to throw the charges out, is just insane. But again, that comes down to the DA's office. Why is the DA even getting involved in Cy Vance in Manhattan when they went to go lock up the guy that assaulted the officer with the bullhorn? Why is a DA getting involved in such low-level crime politics? Just like we talked about Obama. Why is the president getting involved with some guy, some homeowner that got stopped going into his own house? Like that's beyond them. You leave this alone. You let the ADAs handle that stuff. That's not something that goes up to the highest office in the building. Crazy.
No, it's just more weak-kneed, lack of leadership politicians in New York City. The message came from City Hall. It was followed by the City Council. It's being played out with the district attorneys, and the message is clear. There is no respect for law enforcement, and the criminals run the streets right now, and that's the way it is.
No. Hopefully we change that soon, because I mean we're stuck with this clown for the next 16 months. 18, no, 12, yeah, about 16 months.
16 more months.
Oh Jesus. So you're going to be at Scott Lebato's march on Saturday?
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Should be a good time. Should be.
What are they calling it? Don't give up the ship rally. Yeah.
Yes, I actually met Scott the first time a few days ago. He's a good man.
I told you got to check out his the Angry Patriot videos he posts. They're hysterical.
Yes.
Nah, he is.
There's some fun stuff.
Now this rally's not going to get hit by politics again, like the one they had.
Eisenhower Park.
Where was that?
Eisenhower.
In Long Island.
Yeah, back to blue. Eisenhower Park.
Yeah. You hear about what happened out there, Bill?
I was out in Eisenhower Park. I spoke at Eisenhower Park.
Oh shit! Did you hear the background drama? I'm hoping you were shielded from it. But there was a lot of the politicians out there got heavy involved. At one point, two of the guys that were supposed to get out there, Ted Nugent and sitting Congressman Clay Higgins, were supposed to be involved there, and the Nassau County. Now their flight plan had been filed for what was that? Tell me, a week and a half, something like that.
No,
so they knew that they were coming, and there was no issues up until about 48 hours before the county executive. What's her name? Curran. Right?
Is it Curran?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Curran.
Yeah, she had put a tweet out, basically bashing Ted Nugent, and they tried a whole slew of stuff. They pulled the state police escort for these guys. They tried to limit how many people could be in the park because of COVID. They tried to limit the parking, and then finally got all the way up to the governor's office, where they actually sent members of the health department to the airport, and they were going to turn both Ted and Higgins, who were flying in together, they were going to turn them around or give them the choice to come off the plane and self-quarantine for 14 days, basically preventing them from speaking at the rally. Which, again, I hope that somebody like Scott. Scott is I don't take him as somebody that would tolerate that kind of. Scott is a little more vocal. We'll put it that way. I think he would probably explode if something like that tried to happen. But hopefully, hopefully that stuff doesn't happen with his thing, because he's like you said, he's phenomenal. He's an amazing patriot. It's funny. I didn't realize that he lives in Staten Island, but he when he did that portrait of De Blasio, holding the Che Guevara shirt and holding the Statue of Liberty's head with the blood, like he had just De Blasio had cut the head off, and he hung it there. And I remember seeing the videos and whatnot was going on the day he did it, and I kept thinking, why did he choose Staten Island? Like, why would you why would you do this in Staten Island? He lives in Staten Island. Of course, it's probably a mile from his house. Of course, that's why you would do it. But it's funny when I look at Scott's paintings, they're so very unique. Yes,
Scott Lebato.
Yes.
Since I've been aware of him for the last year and a half. It's like looking at a Roy Lichtenstein painting, which is very obvious. When you see a Lichtenstein painting, it's very obvious. It's the colors there. The Lebato's stuff just screams Lebato.
Yeah.
The reds that he uses for the red in the flag, and the blue that he uses is very similar, and just it's great. It's to watch those clips.
Well,
the Angry Patriot.
An artist must be unique.
He is unique. He's very unique. He after 9/11, he was an activist before then, and then something clicked in him, and he just went full on like Americana. And to see those posts that he does is just hysterical. Like, hey, I'm me, you're you. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Like, be on with you. I don't care what you got between your legs. I don't care what you identify as.
That's the majority of America.
Yes,
feels that way,
he's like, I smoke 2 packs a day. I drink whiskey every day. I breathe the fumes of my paint. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. There's no reason. There's no reason. But he's a good patriot, and he's a huge supporter of law enforcement, which is great.
Hell yeah.
We'll go to a little bit lighter stuff. So when I spoke to you the other day, I never really got into what's the relation to Joe Pepitone, the baseball player. Is that an uncle or something?
Chris is very excited.
Joe's,
Yeah, that's
yes,
the thing
he's
I'm
my-
wondering.
I'm sorry.
He's my uncle. He's my father's brother.
So your father is Vinny?
No, my father is Bill.
Bill. Oh, gotcha. Like Billy Joe? Is that his birth name?
No,
Billy Joe?
no, he's William Anthony. Actually.
William Anthony. I was doing some looking into that, and I'm like, there's a connection here. Because, I mean, it's funny to see the photos. Like, does the rest of your family look just... I mean, you could be his younger brother, for Christ's sake.
We all look the same. We all have the same nose. We all sound the same. Yeah.
He had a hell of a career, man. You know, Gold Gloves, MVP, World Series. Like, what a local Brooklyn guy. Just a great feel good hometown story. Your uncle. That's good stuff.
Yeah, he was a character then. He's a character now.
Good for him. Also, you're a writer as well. I see you've written some books with. Is that your brother?
That is my brother. My brother Joseph is a really talented writer and producer. He's won a couple of Emmy Awards as a producer with the Yes Network. And we collaborate on a couple of books, a couple of independent films. It's just something I just wanted to do after I retired from the NYPD. I wanted to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to write. And we tried a few different things, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. But
that's everything. That's everything in life, right? You throw it up on the wall and see what sticks.
Things work, some things don't. Exactly.
Oh, very good. So what's your next? I know you got the rally on Saturday. Is there a website or a way for folks to follow you to see what's going on and how to support?
Sure, absolutely. We have a website up, Bill Pepitone for NewYorkCityMayor.com. Our Facebook page is really getting a lot of attention, a lot of support. Bill Pepitone for NYC Mayor. You can find me on Twitter at Pepitone for NYC. I'm on Instagram, Bill Pepitone for New York City Mayor. You can find me everywhere right about now.
Well, that's good.
Awesome.
That's necessary.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of traction right now. We're getting a lot of attention. A lot of good quality people are coming forward and supporting us. And,
Awesome.
And we're making a lot of headway. We're gonna take a good shot at this, and we're gonna win.
Yeah, man.
I hope you win.
God, I hope so, man. I mean, we
The city needs it.
We need a turnaround.
We need something, man. We need something.
We need a turnaround back.
But the good news is that even if Christian ran and won, he could do a better job than De Blasio.
Yeah.
So you're on top of the world right now, Bill.
I can say that with confidence, though. I can.
Here we go.
If I'm mayor of New York City, forget it, bro.
Yeah, I agree. If Chris, that's the truest thing you've ever said. Stop right there. Just stop right there. That's the truest thing you've said since you've been here. If you're the mayor of New York City, forget it, bro. That's your slogan. There it is.
All right, Bill. Thanks so much for calling in, man. You got our support, and reach out to Josh. We can get something done with BBO or through the show here to continue supporting. Hopefully, we get a bunch of people out there on Saturday. To hear you speak and to support what Scott's doing. That's a big deal.
Yeah, good luck with that rally.
Good luck with your campaign.
It's great. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, Bill.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks,
much
Bill. Be safe,
appreciated.
Bill.
Be safe,
care.
man. Be safe.
See you well. Stay
All
safe,
right.
guys.
All right. Do we want to do a quick 5 minute, or we want to just finish out?
Nah, run right through it. Run right through
All
it.
right.
Christian.
All
So Christian for mayor. If I'm the mayor of New York City, forget about it, bro.
Or how about if I run for president?
Jesus.
That's going to be his logo.
Holy shit.
Trust me, if I run for president,
Really forget about it, bro? I mean,
yeah.
you might want to hire a campaign manager.
How about we
Slogan sucked.
How about we throw an FU out there to Seattle brewery named Mirage. They printed ACAB.
Hopefully you're doing Montauk next, but go ahead.
ACAB means all cops on the bottoms of their beer cans. All right,
Oh,
following
stupid.
the
Oh, my
idiots
God.
over at Choosy Lover Beer that put that on a sticker on their beer cans. All I can say is, guys, Choosy Lover, Mirage Beer, which I think is in Seattle, based in Seattle. It is.
All
Mirage
cops are bastards.
is.
But it doesn't mean all cops. They're saying it doesn't. It
Just
mean
means the ones that are bastards.
It doesn't.
are
It
bastards?
doesn't mean in the individual cops. He's fucking. I
They're co-
apologize,
They're
Mom.
committing.
I'm
they're
not cursing.
committing
It's
financial
Chris's fault.
suicide. They're committing financial suicide. Honestly, like, why would you even?
I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Me neither. I can't. I get error messages in my head. But
Yeah, what's in his head?
He gets error messages. Holy
Error messages
shit.
in his head. Is that what you
I
said?
mean, listen. Again, we talked about this last week. You know, with all these brands and all this stuff that's out there, that you know, if you, as a police officer or somebody who loves them, somebody who supports them, tried to boycott every brand or every something that had a CEO or an employee or something that said something stupid about cops, you'd never go outside.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it. But when there are alternatives, take those alternatives. Choose another brand. It ain't gonna kill you to drink another beer.
Mm-hmm.
These companies, listen. Whether I agree or disagree with the attempts to defund and bankrupt these businesses, who gives a shit what they do? But they shouldn't be getting law enforcement dollars. They shouldn't be getting your money.
So
If they want to take a stand and they want to put statements out there that are inflammatory or derogatory against law enforcement.
Hold on. Wait, but Mike Freed says that Montauk, after the blowback, did a turnaround and actually thanked cops.
Nah, wait. If he's talking about that sign that they put up there, they really didn't thank cops. They kind of half-assed a walk-back apology sign, which really... It didn't thank them. It just basically said, well, we just want to accept everybody, but we appreciate. Get the fuck out of here. They tried.
Own it.
Exactly. They tried to take a stand that they thought was going to make themselves super popular in their whatever fucking world that they're in. Mom, I'm sorry, I didn't curse. It's not my fault.
Mrs. Oliveri.
It's not my fault.
How many Mrs. Oliveris?
It's high
How many
pitch
Mrs. Oliveris are going to be mad
I
at you
just, I mean,
tonight?
and I just don't understand it. Like, all right, again, if you don't want to aggressively go after them, I understand that they're entitled to their opinion. If they want to feel that way, feel that way. But shame on you if you wear a shield and you patronize them. It's as simple as that. You don't got to be, let them have their opinion. You don't got to go marching on them and do whatever. Let them have their opinion, but. Shame on you if you give them $1. Same thing with Starbucks. Fuck Starbucks. Fuck the NFL. Fuck MLB. Fuck the NHL.
Family show.
Fucking
Come on,
sports.
what?
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, I didn't curse, Lynn.
Holy mackerel.
No, I apologize.
Holy macaroni.
All right, we fired Josh up.
Is it time for my blood pressure medicine yet?
BlueStressTest.com.
Oh, now's a good time. Now's a good time for that. Go ahead. I apologize, Tom.
California Department of Corrections.
What happened? What happened?
California Department of Corrections. Prayers out to you guys in San Diego. 6 officers were stabbed, cut, or received broken bones in an apparent organized attack by the inmates. So 4 collars were made. Two of the inmates that were collared for this attack, 2 of them are serving life sentences for first-degree murder. All right. See, if you just kill these bastards when they're convicted, then shit like this doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Right, the other 2 were in for manslaughter and assault with a firearm. So they recovered weapons. It was, like I said, it was an organized attack on corrections. And we've had this discussion before. And actually, if Johnny Blue is here, that'll be a piece that we can talk to on his next show. How corrections does not always receive the law enforcement respect that they deserve. And I won't even get into that now, but
You're really trying to get my blood pressure
We had talked
up.
about that, but we'll save that for when Johnny's here. No.
I'm sorry. I was going to hit you, but I won't.
And obviously, we spoke about earlier is that
Do you know, funny story.
What
Glad
is
you
it?
brought that up. Do you know, and Stacy, if you're listening, you can chime in and vouch for this story. I had started in corrections, and
as an inmate?
there was a cleaners around the corner from me, and I'll leave their name out of it. And I had gone there and dropped my uniform off. And again, when you go into places, we don't ask for anything. I'm not looking for a discount. I'm not looking for anything. And I dropped the uniforms on the counter, and is when I still give a shit about what my uniforms look like. And the girl gives me a receipt, and then she realizes that it's a corrections uniform. And she now literally almost snatches the receipt back out of my hand and has the balls to look me in the face and say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a cop. and then gives me the receipt for the full boat. Like, First of all, I didn't ask you for anything, but now you're going to disrespect the shit out of me.
What's the problem?
You see, Tom? You see? And this is why I agree with Holly. I need a leave of absence as well. Holly, please, can I have a leave of absence?
Hey, listen, Holly'd be happy to sit in that chair
Oh, Jesus Christ.
with her marshmallow toes.
Well, it's because it smells great in this chair. That's why.
It's a great chair.
I know. What?
So California, besides the fact that the corrections officers are getting pounded, we spoke earlier with Sheriff Clarke about the fact that they have released 10,000 inmates for COVID protection.
How is that
there.
protection?
Because they feel like they're being exposed to potential COVID.
But doesn't COVID get spread even further when you release the infected?
If they're infected, I guess. But another 8,000 are due to be released in August alone. So at the end of August, there will be 18,000 inmates that have been released in California.
Sounds like your favorite state to live in, Tommy.
I love that.
Yeah, I think you should move. I think you should move in, bro.
So the secretary here, this is great. The secretary of the California Department of Corrections issued a letter, right, offering an apology to the inmates for quote unquote significant burden put on them and their families. Okay, and it also apologized to the unnecessarily incarcerated. This is California. So,
apologize.
excuse me, Mr. Suspect, Mr. Perp, that's
Can
been,
the fault
been arrested
lines
for a crime.
please start acting up?
We're sorry for that. Oh, and by the way, anyone else that's in jail that probably didn't commit a crime, we're sorry for that too. I honestly, my wife and I talk about where we're going to retire to, and she brings up California
Not
because we
California.
have family in San Diego, and I just say absolutely not.
You're better off going to South America at this point.
I couldn't. I can't do it. I can't go to
Since
California.
when-
Why does it just float out into the ocean?
Since when apologizing became such a thing? I don't know.
I'm sorry, Christian.
I don't know. Honestly,
See,
how about this, Tom? Have you ever considered Japan?
No.
For something like that?
No.
No.
Yeah, I like. Good job, Jacob. There it is.
Put him in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Congressperson Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts is calling for unrest in our streets as long as there's unrest in our lives. This is an elected official. Okay, guess what party this idiot's from? Yeah, there's only one choice. Okay, so an elected official is calling on citizens to riot and loot, inciting violence instead of doing something to make positive changes and curb it. Like this is our elected officials. This is Congress. Inciting riots and looting instead of actually working with your counterparts on the other side of the aisle
Again,
and
I
with Senate
can't-
to make changes. Let's go out and riot and loot. As long as there's civil unrest in my house, there will be civil unrest on the streets. is
Again,
what you say.
like I was telling the sheriff, my old man was talking about this tonight, and it's, I get it. It's part of their political game plan to just drive this country into fucking chaos. So there I go, to drive this country into chaos.
No more 3-chord for you.
No more. But I don't understand how they think this is just going to return to normal in a snap of a finger. It's not. And the longer we enable this, the longer we encourage it, the longer we accommodate it, the inevitable take back, which is inevitable. It's something's going to happen that's going to be the breaking point. But that take back is going to be so much more violent.
Yep.
Because
There's no choice.
I mean, we're already to a point now where if all of a sudden it just switched on a dime right now, and we said, all right, you know what? Everybody go back to work. We're going to start righting the ship right now, tomorrow. Every traffic stop already is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Where, maybe half or three, a quarter where, what are you stopping me for type stops.
it's everything.
Every stop is going to be,
single
why are you
interaction.
stopping me? Do you have the right to stop me? I don't have to get, it's every stop is going to be that.
Yep.
And like I said, that take back is going to be so much more violent. And that's these politicians' fault. No, cops don't love you.
Cops love Jacob. You know who else loves Jacob? Sherbo. Sherbo loves his little punching bag. He loves his little punching bag.
Wow.
Serbo.
You see?
That guy who defeated him in the ring.
Jesus.
Oh, look at Holly. 3 chord times 9 equals shit face. No, I'll tell you. We'll go back to that 3 chord.
It was phenomenal.
Can you get that on the camera? The 3 chord. This one is the blended bourbon whiskey. Great guys over there. Come in. They hooked us up with some tastings. We're going to do some charitable work with them, and they were dynamite. The rye, was it 117 proof or 114?
117.
117 proof was ridiculous. 3 chord, CHORD, 3 chord. Good stuff. We totally appreciate them coming in, Brian Canning, and hanging out with us before the show. I think we're gonna try and have him on while they're doing a little bit of a transition from what he's doing in Michigan down to Jersey. So hopefully he will be a semi-regular, either caller in or pop in and support us the way he did tonight.
Yeah, no, dude, he definitely should be sitting in here.
9/11 Memorial Museum. All right, we all know they canceled the readings of the names. And, there's some pushback
Siller
on that.
Foundation saved that.
Go ahead. And then they turned around and said, we're not going to light the lights. We're not going to put the twin blue lights up. And Steven Siller Foundation got involved, Tunnel of Towers. The SBA, the NYPD SBA, Ed Mullins got involved and basically said, you know what, we don't need you. We're going to do this on our own. And Governor Cuomo, in typical "I will not be one-upped by anyone," then stepped in after the fact and said, "Oh no, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna have guys in there that can monitor the safety issues concerned with COVID for these 40 or so members of the union that need to install these lights and get them hooked up." There were 100 people involved when they painted Black Lives Matter down Fifth Avenue out there in the street, and we're not concerned at all about
without a
COVID,
permit. One of which was the mayor.
One of them was the mayor. And then
that was okay.
When these guys raised some hell about it and said, "Hey, we're going to do it without you," then Cuomo jumps in and says, "Hey, I'm the hero of the day."
It's too late.
You know what?
It's too late, and he wasn't the hero of shit.
He needs
wasn't
to
the hero
go.
of shit.
He needs to go.
He wasn't the hero of
anywhere.
shit. It was the Siller Foundation. It was a Port Authority PBA. The Port Authority PBA had told the Siller Foundation, take those lights, put them on Port Authority property. It's not going to cost the Port Authority any money. And it took the ball right out of their hands. And then when the PBA and the Siller Foundation solved the problem, all of a sudden the politicians realized that their card was pulled, and they jumped in then and tried to act. They didn't do shit.
Oh, look at me! Look at me! I'm on your side now.
Correct. Yeah, correct. It was too late. Those guys,
So
those guys
man.
already solved that problem. It was ridiculous. And listen, some people floated that theory out there that it was all a play from the beginning. De Blasio was just going to let that thing fly and almost set the table for Cuomo to come in. Yeah, Chris, no more for you, or maybe more for you. Yeah. Apparently, Chris's whiskey tasting has gone all night.
I guess I'm not taking any home.
So like I said, they set the table. Some people thought that that the table was purposely set that way for Cuomo to step in and save the day, and he waited a day too long.
Did someone get involved in the name reading? Is that back on?
Yeah, Siller. I don't know what they're doing, but yes, they mitigated that problem as well.
Okay.
I don't know how. I know at one point they had floated the idea that even before Siller, that there was going to be like a virtual reading or something like that, but no. And listen, a lot of guys have talked to the firemen down there, and the firemen have pretty much said, "We don't give a fuck. We're reading these names, and what are you going to do?" I mean, let's be real. Is someone going to walk up to a fireman in uniform reading names and put handcuffs on them?
What times are we living in?
Well, crazy times right now. Times right now.
I think
Republic
it's about 10 to 11, Chris.
I know, man.
About 10 to 11.
10 to 10.
So again, I know we've been going back and forth every week, and it seems like the hot topic of rioting and what's going on continues to come back to Portland. I mean, Portland is a cesspool right now. Okay, the protesters are calling for the deaths of cops. That's what they're chanting out in the street. They recently, we spoke earlier again about this. They pulled a guy out of his pickup truck. He was at a gas station. A woman had gotten her bag robbed or something, and then he tried to get involved while these young thugs were stealing her stuff. And they confronted the innocent bystander, the citizen, who got nervous, jumped in his truck, and took off. He didn't run anyone over. He didn't hit anyone's bike. He just like, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. And he got about 2 blocks, and he lost control of his truck, and he hit a tree, hit a pole. Now there he is. He hit the pole, and now the rioters saw that. They run down, and they pull him out of the truck. And he's screaming, I'm just trying to get away. I don't want to hurt anybody. And they continue to beat him unconscious. So they're lumping the daylights out of this guy. At one point, you see the video, he's sitting on the curb, bleeding and saying, I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I just wanted to get out of there. Please, please, please. And this young little shithead comes up.
Linda's mad at you for cursing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there you go.
Comes up and kicks him in the face while the guy's sitting on the curb.
You hear a sound.
He's out. He's out like a light.
You hear a pop sound when he kicks him.
I saw the video, and as a cop, I just want to get on a plane and go to Portland. I really do. I want to get like 50 guys that think like me and go to Portland.
I'm down for that.
No, you stay here. You stay here.
No.
And go to Portland and take care of this.
Give me a Japanese sword.
This isn't like tough guy talking shit. This is like, eventually, that's the direction that this country's going in. We're going to have you're going to have citizens taking the law into their own hands. And then it's just going to get, people talk about race war. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I just don't, I don't see the end in sight here. Bad things are coming. Someone posted something not too long ago on one of the social media sites that in the end, there are going to be very good people that have to do bad things to very bad people. And that's where we're
the
going.
only choice.
Dude, Portland has 900 cops. That's it. 900 cops, and they cannot protect their citizens any longer, just like Seattle. They can't protect the Oregon State Police. They pulled out. Oregon State Police said, we're not going to be in Portland anymore. We will concentrate on counties where prosecuting criminals is a priority. And they've pulled out. Okay? Here's the deal, and I've been saying this for 2 months. If you live in Portland, then honestly...
I thought you were going to say let inmates go.
No.
Because you've been saying that for 2 months,
It's California. If you live in Portland, the writing's on the wall. I sit there and I go, well, you need to leave. And then, someone might say, well, they can't leave. They don't have a choice. You know what? You do have a choice. If I lived in Portland right now, I would leave. I would rather leave my house and go live on the streets of San Francisco or L.A. or, New Orleans or somewhere warm while this blows over. Because if you have a business there, you're screwed. You have a business, you're screwed. If you're a regular working Joe that has to drive through that shit every single day to go to work, eventually something bad's going to happen. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that the mayor of Portland is letting this go down. And I tried to talk a little bit with Clarke about that. Like, at what point does the military get involved? Portland is the perfect place. Like, if you can't secure a tiny little Portland, then you're in trouble. Like, you're in trouble.
I would have done that if I was president. I would have done that like a month ago. I would have done that.
Well, the chief there, Chuck Lavelle, he inherited this mess from Danielle Outlaw, who Danielle Outlaw left Portland. I think they had like 40 homicides last year, and she's the chief of police in Philly. So Joe Lightheart, if you're listening, Joe Lightheart, your girl, the chief of police in Philly, she left Portland for a reason, and now she's in your city, and that you guys are next.
Tommy, do you want Dave? Too late. You already got him. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Dave who? Cheaties?
I'm fucking psyched. Yeah, it's good to be on. It's good to be on with you badass motherfuckers. Listen, I don't want to change the subject, though, as great as Portland is, but can we please get back to Pepper Tone Deaf?
Pepper Tone Deaf?
Yeah.
What?
I'm tone deaf. You're screaming
deaf
in my ears, guy.
Well, I'm excited, bro. I'm like a fucking junkyard dog who hasn't had a leg to hump all week.
I don't get that from you.
Christian's got 2 legs and a pillow. He said you can hump all of them.
Oh my God! Ignore him, yo.
What do you got?
You know what? I tell you, I've been excited. It was great listening to Clarke, and it was fucking. It was nauseating listening to Pepper Tone Deaf. I mean, it's great. You guys talk to Sheriff Clarke, and he's got a lot of his own ideas, and then you got to listen to fucking this wannabe mayor of New York City regurgitate absolutely any good policy that came from anyone else with nothing of his own. But whatever, he hangs out with the Glickmeister, so I guess that's what it is.
Oh.
I like his little pickup truck podium Facebook picture he has with his, dumbass Izzo tight T-shirt.
Not Izzo. Come on, you're gonna drag Izzo in?
Dave, you really need to learn how to express yourself, Dave.
He's the number one real estate agent in Chicago. He hasn't sold the property yet.
You need to learn how to express yourself, Dave.
So, all right, yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. What have you had personal experience with him, Pepitone?
With who?
With Bill Pepitone.
I don't know who the fuck he is, but I know he doesn't have an original thought in his head.
Well, we're also
I'm
18 months away.
Windows and we'll put in a new police commissioner. Who the fuck hasn't been saying that since the last election? I'd like to hear somebody come out and say something new, something that's really going to affect the people in New York. I mean, the shows.
Well, listen. In case you didn't hear, Chris has his slogan already picked out. If I'm the mayor of New York, forget about it, bro. I mean, honestly, that's new. Where else have you heard that?
Well, that can go either way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, it can. Trust me. With Chris, it can only go one way. Trust me.
No, Chris.
What way?
Chris goes both ways.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, listen, $20 is $20.
Hey, listen, you gotta feed the family, right, Dave?
I'll go one way. I'll go one way.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I had brought that up with the rally, and to see if he was aware of what went on, and behind the scenes there. And I listen, I got a hard time believing that anybody didn't know how shitty that got, and I'm sure there was whispering behind the scenes, especially with your boy.
Don't call him my boy.
Well, listen, I don't want no problems, but no, I'm sure.
Too late.
Too late. We already picked up the phone.
Yeah.
No, I have a hard time believing that anybody didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
No, everyone knew, including the organizer. We knew that they knew.
Everybody.
And they chose to.
There was no doubt about it.
Of course. They made a decision. They made a conscious decision to go in one direction. And it's some people support it and some people don't. That's the bottom line. I mean, there's three sides to every coin.
What?
Right. Well,
three sides to every coin.
If you're gonna run, my opinion, if you're going to run for any big political position, just saying, if you're going to run for a big position, you got to put on your big boy pants.
Yeah.
The fact that you stand in the back of a pickup truck like a fucking loser at a fucking school supplied fucking podium. On a bullhorn, telling everyone in Nassau County how you're going to be a great mayor for New York City. I don't get it, man. I mean, I'd love to debate you at that point.
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure there were a lot of people, a lot of city residents that were at that event.
Well,
I'm sure. But what I'm getting, I got to worry about to me as a voter. It's the character of the person that's showing there. Mm-hmm. I mean, read the signs for what they are.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? I would not be stepping out as a candidate. If I was a candidate, I would not be stepping out to Nassau County and pounding the podium in the back of a pickup truck at some fat fuck's rally that's been hijacked by Nassau County and the governor, especially since two celebrity/active duty officers were being barred from going to tell people vote for me with a mixed crowd when I can stand out with the fucking PBA, or I can be going precinct to precinct and pounding the pavement and making it fucking count and getting the word out there that I'm the guy you should vote for, that I'm the one that needs to be in office. And I would try to throw out some ideas that are original and not just like, broken windows, regurgitation, and highlighting newsreel clips of recent events like, the mayor's wife and her $2.5 million budget for 14 staff members, that's coming down the wire for Wall Street Journal. I mean, how about doing some active shit and actually coming up with your own idea? I mean, you want to lead the largest city in the world, the largest police department, and all you're doing is regurgitating fucking shit from someone else. Man, I wish Giuliani was back. I really do.
Hold on. But I think if Giuliani turned around right now, right, and said, hey, I'm going to run, You know what his platform is going to be? The same exact platform that Bill Pepitone put out there. I'm going to bring back broken windows because it worked.
It should be because it's Giuliani's platform.
Because it worked. So, but Bloomberg
it's
just
Giuliani's platform, though.
Of course,
right? I mean, I'm sure. Listen, if Teddy Roosevelt ran for president again, he'd probably work on his same campaign that he did because guess what? It fucking worked.
Yeah, but he lost. He lost. But he lost the last time he ran, Teddy. he ran.
Well,
but he also did get shot. He also did get shot on the campaign trail on a train. Was shot and then didn't go to the hospital. He finished his speeches, stumping the speeches for the day before he went to the hospital with a bullet in his chest.
Wow,
Jesus. Teddy Roosevelt.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, listen, I think the God Emperor has set the blueprint for if you're going to get into any level of politics. I think I think at this point, you have to be the anti-politician. You have to, reject conventional politics. And I think a lot of what we saw out there in Long Island that weekend was conventional bullshit politics. You had a bunch of social climbing, scared guys that were afraid to stand up to these old rhinos and to these people that they were afraid of what. Oh my God, what is this person going to think about me if I take a stand? Listen,
but that's
our president has set the blueprint now to what the voters are looking for right now is people that are they're done being lectured by millionaires about how we should be when they're not holding themselves to the same standard, and they're done of people being scared of these career politicians, people that became rich, became wealthy during their time, and their extended time, their ridiculously long time in politics. They're done with that. So I think if you want to make yourself stand out as a candidate, that's more than unique policy. It's got to be that unique attitude. We're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what the establishment says. I don't care what this is me. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am. And I think that more than anything today resonates.
And that's what people want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I think
but hold on. Well, New York City is in a very unique position right now that anyone short of, like Jumaane Williams that's going to say, let's continue de Blasio's destruction of the city, they're all going to have the same thoughts. I don't think there is an original idea to bring back the crime levels of 3 or 4 years ago.
There is. You know what the original idea is? Support your fucking cops and shit on perps.
Exactly.
How about that for an original idea?
That's simple
Jesus.
Right there.
Why are you guys yelling at me?
Because
common sense.
I feel bad now. Now I feel bad. See
bad.
what you started, Dave?
It's common sense, Tom.
That's common sense.
Right,
That's
maybe I should run for mayor.
Maybe you should. You don't live in the city, though.
Good point.
I should run for mayor,
you know?
honestly.
Mayor of Newark.
Oh,
whatever dump you live in. But they're all going to have and you watch as the race gets closer, they're all going to have the same story. They're all going to say the same. I'm going to bring down crime. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Right.
And none of it is original.
But they don't have a way of doing it.
Well,
they don't have a way to do it. Like here's the deal.
They can do it.
Shit was bad in the city. Shit was bad in the city before it went off the hook. We all know that. So when you're sitting there like, well, we got to bring back the anti-crime. We got to bring back the street crime. We got to bring back the plainclothes. Yeah, we know that. That's what made everything actually really go off the rail. But what are you going to do to fix crime? Because that's not going to fix crime. That's going to bring your shootings and shit down. But even prior to that, crime was inching up. So tell me, when you bring it back to what it was, how are you going to address the crime, the rising crime prior to that point? Because all you're doing is bringing us back halfway.
But that's a start.
Business owners in New York City don't need halfway.
That's a start. That's a start, though, because Eric Adams is going to continue somewhat what de Blasio is doing. Williams certainly will do. Stringer has zero knowledge on what the police department should do. The obvious answer is let's start
Stringer
with this.
uses his security detail. Stringer's using his security detail to pick up his dry cleaning and drive his wife to work. So clearly he does not know what the police department does. I got that.
How much does a filter cost for Dave?
But again, I'm just gonna throw it out there and say, listen,
I don't see you doing that, Dave. Go ahead.
Agree with me or disagree with me, it is what it is. But if you're running for fucking office, again, have a fucking original idea is all I'm saying, and not just regurgitate positive and negative. In other words, like you said, Adams and de Blasio pretty much would regurgitate the same shit.
Yep. So would Williams.
Stop regurgitating shit that's been out there. Give us something.
And what's his face? The city council guy, Corey. What's his face? Corey
Booker?
No, not Booker. He's from Jersey. The senator. The Corey. He's the city council speaker. The president of city council. Same thing. They're all from the same ilk. They're going to say, hey.
Right, they are.
And they would agree with that street crime shouldn't come back. They're going to agree that we should lessen our police activity. I'm actually happy that someone was going to come up and say, hey, you know what, we need to get back to the way it used to be. And we can make some changes, but the first steps are having those plainclothes. These guys on the street are carrying guns because they look down the street, and if the car doesn't have fucking lights and shit on top, then they don't worry about it. They're carrying guns again. And the way you get away from that is bringing back street crime, bringing back anti-crime guys.
Right, But here's the thing: when you have somebody who's out there doing, running for office, and all they're doing is regurgitating the past, and they're not giving any guidance, any leadership, any way forward, any new ideas, anything.
Well, I also think it's very early, Dave. It's very early. We're 18 months or 16 months away. It's ridiculously early. That's like the reason Obama didn't commit to Biden was he was waiting. So you come out and go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this as I build my team of people.
Well, because he also didn't want to strap. He was hoping he wouldn't have to strap his name to a fucking lame horse, and unfortunately he did.
Yes. Obama. We're talking about Obama.
That's a whole other fucking conversation.
It's not a political show, though.
I have a question.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying. Listen, I would. If somebody had an original idea and was going forward with it, you know what? Me as a voter, I want to. You can't say I want to see results, right? Because the race hasn't even been run yet.
Right.
I'm not saying I don't see any results. Don't give it to me. I appreciate his career in law enforcement, came from the same job and all that. Great. But whoever his handlers are who are running his campaign, dude, throw a little fucking something out there and let us see that you're not just regurgitating. Because a lot of times when all you get from new leaders coming in to regurgitate, you get a lot of fucking bullshit and nothing happens.
Well, I think because
that's kind of true.
You're doing something.
I think because it's so early in this right now that I think you're not giving them a fair enough shake to say, hey, what are you doing? Like, what would have been really great? If you would have called in when we had him on the phone, that would have been fucking amazing. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
I agree. I agree.
Well, he's still he's still listening. He can balls up and call in.
Bill, if you'd like to debate Dave.
So Dave, as a also retired NYPD and a citizen of New York City, without motherfucking the guest that was on, what constructive criticism could you give him going forward that might actually help him get where he needs to go? Or
I would actually love to do that. I would actually love to do that because I do wish the guy the post, and I'd rather him hear what I say as criticism and constructive criticism because I do want to see him win. Obviously, I think it does a lot, and I always support guys coming from the job, but I think they need to be smart with it. But one thing I would honestly like to see him do that I think would definitely go forward and help. I would say, and I don't see it being an issue for him, but I see it's something that needs to change because we've seen the damage it's done throughout the years. I have an issue. One big issue of mine is how they go about with the police commissioner. That's the first thing.
All right, so I'll tell you what. I'm not going to cut you. I'm not going to cut you short, but I think we have Bill Pepitone back on the phone, and I would really like to have a good, constructive conversation. And I'm sure Bill might come in a little.
Can we get a format to this? 5 minutes to the gentleman. We need to get an official format to this.
Then I will ask everyone else to just kind of chill and help me facilitate a little bit to have a really constructive conversation. Now, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, so Bill, you there?
Hold on, he's coming. Hold on, stand by. All right, we're good.
Hello.
We're good. Hey, Bill. We have Dave Chianese, also retired NYPD, on the phone. I don't know if you were listening to it a little bit earlier, but basically was just saying that you need to do a little bit more in your pitch for the job than the obvious stuff. And I'm hoping we can keep this civil. Just have a good open conversation, because we all agree that we would love to see you in that post. But being in that post, you also have to accept that there are going to be people that agree or disagree with what you're doing, and hopefully we can have a quick little conversation about that and keep it positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to conversation.
Awesome.
Dave,
Well, thanks, Bill, for calling back.
I'm good. How are you, Bill? Listen, and let me just, like I said before, I 100% hope you get the spot. Obviously. Now, my concern is, and I like to work with trying to get cops into office. These guys know some people I've helped get into different positions. I got it. The only thing I hate to say it, it pains me, is a lot of what I see from your campaign is regurgitation. I'm not saying it's not good stuff. We all admit broken windows worked, right? We all did that. We all lived through it. We all worked it. We know it works. I brought up the plainclothes too. Yeah, we all agree it's got to go back. That being said, as a voter with a personal interest specifically in this campaign, where do you go? That stuff brings us back halfway. Crime was on its way up before that. There's a lot of problems with the city. We got it. But as a mayor, where do we go? And like I said, what's your idea? What's your specific? Fuck the homelessness and that stuff. I mean, those are all different things we can get into, right? We can get into the $1.8 billion missing from Charmaine in schools and in mental health. We can get into all that stuff at a later date. But going in as mayor, in regards to crime, which is, I think, the most pressing issue in New York City, right? It's driving your money out. It's driving your businesses out. It's keeping people out, keeping tourism out. What are we going to do what are we going to see in your campaign if you win mayor that we haven't seen yet to bring us back to not back to where we were when they, halfway when they took out the street crime. We know that's got to come back. I mean, I don't even see Adams making it and not bringing it back. You're going to have to, or it is going to literally be like Escape from New York. What do you have and now they're saying it might be too early. Maybe it is. And then I do apologize for that. But what do you have that's a Pepitone plan for the mayorship of New York in regards to crime?
Well, first, let me say it's not too early, because 16 months is going to go very, very quickly. Okay?
I would agree.
Right. It's going to go fast, and we have to start thinking about that, and we have to start moving forward right now. First of all, when you talk about policing, and you'll agree with me with this, you don't reinvent the wheel. You use what works. This is the approach I'm taking. You use what works. We've both worked through the Giuliani administration. I'm assuming you did as well, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, like you said, we know broken windows works. We know street crime and anti-crime works. We know, I believe strongly, in borough task forces and the job we used to do. When they got rid of that, that's affected it. All of these little things, you can call it regurgitation all you want. I'm calling it successful policing, effective policing that has worked in the past, and that if we bring that back under different leadership with someone who can connect the community to the police, which clearly this guy hasn't, that
you're right.
will work.
No,
he hasn't. He's divided it everybody. We all know that. That's
Yeah,
regurgitation.
he started from day one. He was fucking rocking that boat from day one.
He did. So what we need is somebody. What we need is a voice. More than we need to reinvent the wheel and come up with policing that hasn't been invented yet. What we need is somebody who can get the message out, who can communicate with both the police and the community, not one side or the other, that can communicate with both sides and bring both sides together. And this is not just a bullshit political speech. I'm not a politician. But I can bring both sides together. I can make it clear that I stand behind law enforcement, and at the same time, I can close these racial divides. I can reduce the tension in the city. I can make the city a safer place, and I don't have to reinvent the wheel to do it.
So then, from what I'm hearing, and a big part of what you said, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Like, you had mentioned it's not, not reinventing the wheel. Go with what works. We got it. You mentioned something along the lines, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact words, but it had to do with the proper leadership to get it done.
Yes.
Okay, and you're talking about, obviously, I'm assuming 1PP leadership.
Absolutely, of course. Well, the
So
leadership starts.
then is it safe to assume then in a Bill Pepitone mayoralship that you're going to allow 1PP to some degree to be self-sufficient and run itself and not have to worry about the politics, if you would, like you see now, and they're going to actually be able to steer their ship and run to some degree autonomous, unlike how they've been able to do for quite some time.
Give Joe Esposito the keys to 1PP and say, hey, Uncle Joe, do what you do. That's it. End the story.
So, but you want to know, you know what? And that to me is totally fucking different. And what I'm talking about, that is totally fucking different.
Let me answer, Dave. I have somebody in mind to be the next police commissioner of New York City.
I know. I got your email. Don't worry about it. We'll talk.
Oh God!
Wait, Bill. Let me stop you there. If that is your campaign strategy to put Dave anywhere in your administration, just quit now. Just God bless you.
I thought that was between us, Dave. Oh
shit! Now go ahead, Bob.
I'm sorry. I thought this was the call that we were going to announce it on. I'm sorry.
Oh, you got the same email I got, Dave.
Holy shit! Go ahead, Bob. Sorry. Go ahead.
I have somebody in mind that I've already spoken to about being the next police commissioner of New York City. Highly respected, a great leader. He is somebody that I would turn the keys over.
Awesome.
Let him run exactly what you said. I would let 1PP run autonomously, without question, because I have that much faith in this person. And when you find out who it is, and you will soon, you're going to agree with me. I guarantee it. And yes,
listen, and you've done enough time on the job where I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
Without a doubt. You're going to be impressed with who this person is, and yes, I'm going to be able to give him the keys to 1PP and say, here you go, do your job. I'm here if you need support. That is what the mayor of the city of New York is supposed to do. He's supposed to say,
well, I would agree, but that's not something we've seen in a long time.
No, of course not. Of course not. We haven't seen that. If you want something new,
that is something to highlight, and I love, Bill.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Chief. What's Chief Banks doing these days anyway?
No, it's not Chief Banks. That is ultimately that is what a good mayor is supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You're in charge of the police department. I support you. You're the reason I am trusting you with this is because I trusted you from the beginning. That's why I put you in this position. Yep. If you need support, I'm here.
It's not political.
Oh my God!
It's not
this
political.
is making me cry like the first time you said this to me.
It's not political.
Dave, you feel better now?
Dude, no, listen. With the Department of Education, when you put someone there, you're like, oh, this is your specialty. You do it. Leave me the fuck alone. Chief of Police, the fire department, the sanitation. You take care of this shit. Office of Emergency Management. You take care of this.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah, no, I agree. You know what? But that to me, that's the breadth. I think anyway. That's the breath of fresh air. That listen, there's not a city employee out there, whether they're a resident or not, that realistically doesn't feel that same way. I mean, I know teachers, I know people from DOT, right? These people that are running these agencies, and listen, even a Giuliani, I love him, but to some extent, he kind of ran it the same way, and obviously not nearly like it is now, right? And under Bloomberg as well, you saw it. Having these agencies, having, like you said, the right people, and being able to let them free and say, you get the right people in, you run it right, I'm here when you need me, but other than that, just know this is your ship, you're steering it, and you're accountable for it.
You give them all the rope in the world.
Job is fantastic.
You give them all the rope in the world to hang themselves.
1,000%.
They got to follow your core beliefs. And if you get the right person for any one of those jobs, it'll be fine. You just can't inject your own.
It just can't be Dave.
Just can't be Dave.
It just can't be Dave.
No. In all honesty, it can't be, because I'll tell you, holy shit. Yeah, you'd have a lot of fucking complaints.
Nah.
It'll be a fun ride, though. It'll be a fun fucking ride.
All 3 days of it.
Exactly.
Let me just say this in regards to what Dave was saying, just to continue on that note.
Go ahead.
You look at the Board of Education and the Chancellor's Office. Look at the damage that Chancellor's Office has done to our Department of Education. That's another position where we're going to bring in a quality person that I trust, that I know can do the job, and say, here, this is yours. I'm here to support you. You're going to be surrounded by quality people, and we're going to fix this. Fire department, sanitation, every agency, I'm going to approach the same way. And I've already started talking to people, quality people. and that's going to be my
Good.
approach. And if you think that should be my number one selling point, then we accomplished something tonight, and I appreciate that.
No,
100%.
absolutely. I think that's fucking. I'll be honest with you, because you know what? Like I was telling them before they got you on, or you called back in. You know, my thing is, it's not that the regurgitation is bad, but when you want to trust a leader going forward who hasn't been elected yet, who hasn't given the service yet, to know, hey, where's the track record? At least for me, and I know other people I've spoken to going forward, with other things that I've done, it's saying, hey, what are we going to do that's different about this? And again, that is a big difference from what we've seen in some time. I'm not talking about something brand new that's never happened, reinventing something. But what is different that's literally making this fucking shine? And knowing as a city employee, whether it's the fucking DOT or the police department or the Board of Education, those words, that what you're saying now as far as how you're going to have it run and getting the right people in place and letting them do what needs to be done to do it right is something no agency has heard in some time, and I think needs to hear. And
Okay.
To me, it's the fucking that's to me that's the fucking vote there. You know what the other side's going to say, and anyone who's trying to grab a vote from our side of the aisle will turn around and go, yeah, we need street crime. No guarantee they're ever going to do it, but they'll throw it out there.
Yeah, of course.
But that to me is fundamentally different than anything you've seen. And a lot of these fucking idiots that you're going to be running against, they're not going to say that. They're not going to give up control for everything.
So
you know?
hold on,
They
Dave.
run off of fucking.
Dave, so what you're saying then is that you support Commissioner Glickman?
Oh, please.
Oh.
Please.
I can't help myself.
Is it commissioner for homeless services?
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, guys.
Because I know he's really good
Listen,
at fucking.
we-
He's really good at fucking over.
Tommy,
We
Tommy,
like-
we were making progress,
we liked-
Tommy,
we
and
liked-
you just
but
bought it.
we liked
you
to have
just bought
fun.
it 30 yards back.
But we also like to have fun. Go on.
It's good.
No. I listen. I know. I just spoke to Bill, and I can tell Bill said some key things.
Yep.
He
Yes.
said, in all reality, key people he's been speaking to that he can trust. I would hope that Bill could turn around and say that this guy caving on two sworn officers, being Ted Nugent and Higgins, a congressman, gives him enough doubt to know whether or not that's someone he should trust. Because in all honesty, someone like Glickman put in that position could not make a strong call when it needs to be made. He's going to automatically roll his shoulders back and fucking cave. And Bill's probably looking for somebody retired off our job or from another job who can actually stand on their own 2 feet, take those blows, and make those decisions and stand by it.
Well, yeah, I think that's what we're.
So I don't see Glickman ever being in there.
I think that was what we were saying. Dave, after Bill had hung up and before you called in, I think that's where we were going. I think the politicians now again are. It shouldn't be a political show, but like the sheriff had said earlier tonight, cops now, we don't have a choice anymore. We're dragged into this political world, and I think if you're looking to make ground as a politician now, you have to almost be the anti-politician. You have to stop giving a fuck about what these career politicians and you're really going for another bottle? All right, go ahead. You have to stop giving a care about what these career politicians, these old heads, these rhinos, if you're a Republican, and these old-time pieces of shit if you're a Democrat, allegedly. I don't know.
A rhino?
Yeah. You have to stop caring about what they think, because I really feel strongly that especially from law enforcement community, but the country in general, that people are just done. They're done with these career politicians. They're done being lectured by these people that hold themselves to a totally separate standard. They're busy telling you what's good for you. And again, I hate to keep picking. Well, I shouldn't say I hate. I really don't hate to keep picking on Obama, but I'll pick on him again anyway. You use the example of Obamacare. This guy's out there, selling this as the second coming cure-all for our healthcare issues. But at the same time, the politicians that are selling this to the country as what needs to be done, this has to be done to save healthcare in this country, they don't even subscribe to it. Their families don't use it. They'll never have to use it. They'll never have to take part in these things that they're saying are the panacea for everything that ills this country. And I think the voters we're done with that. We're done with that separation. And again, that's why I say I think the president has really set that blueprint where it's just don't care anymore. And I think if no matter what you're running for, whether it's mayor or whatever you're running for, I mean, I think if you can somehow adapt that fuck it all, into a campaign, I think that's what's going to separate from everybody else. Because everybody else still has that little bit of social climber in them, and you guys can say his name.
That's what I like about his plan with running city agencies.
100%. I mean,
right now, the way they run, that's a fuck it all attitude, and I love it.
100%. And I mean, you can keep saying his name, but I won't say his name. But that was the problem with the
Pepitone.
No,
wrong name. Sorry.
No,
no.
The other
Bill Pepitone.
The other
Karen Glickman.
the other
Austin.
But I think that's the problem that you run into. You see people that are still concerned with the social climbing, and they're still concerned with that. And again, that just you get steamrolled when you're in that position, and it's nothing new, it's nothing refreshing, it's no change. Just be like everybody else, And again, it's like I said, it maybe it's political suicide, maybe it's not. I think maybe you get as lucky as the president and harness that, and I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out what exactly New York City wants.
Nice.
Well, we're going to find out what New York City. We know what it needs. We're going to figure out if we can get it. We're at 2.5 hours. Dave, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to wrap up your sentiments and what you're going, and we're going to give Bill 2 minutes at the end to wrap it up.
Listen, I unlike Nancy Pelosi and AOC, I will yield my 2 minutes.
Awesome.
Dave, I can be honest, I definitely did not see that coming.
Awesome. All right, Bill. Well, Bill.
Listen. You know what? He said something that meant a lot to me, and you know what? I got to be honest with you. Hearing as simple as it was, hearing that from him sold me 100% on him. Anything Bill needs, from yard signs to keying cars, whatever he needs.
Jesus Christ.
I'm his man.
Awesome.
All right, you can have my 2 minutes.
All right, Bill. We're gonna give you the last 2 minutes to wrap up and give your last message on the way out to support what you're doing, bro. What do you got?
All right. Well, Dave brought up an outstanding point that maybe I didn't articulate well enough. I am going to be a mayor who delegates responsibility. I am going to be a mayor who brings in quality people, not lifelong politicians, quality people to run city agencies. I will give them the keys to the agencies and say, I am here to support you. If they fail, they'll be replaced. If they fail, we'll find somebody who can do the job.
Nice.
That's what my administration is going to be about. It's not going to be politics as usual. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be effective.
I like that.
And it's going to be accountability, which
Yep.
we have not had any.
Awesome.
I like that.
Great.
Awesome.
Dave, thank you for calling in. I love the fact that you come out fireballed up and we're calling Bill out. And honestly, I am over the moon, Bill, that you reached out and called in to have that conversation, because that conversation is what changes people's minds.
Correct.
The last
Correct.
20 minutes has changed people's minds.
Correct.
And in the position that you're running for, it's so important. It's so important to do that. So I thank you both very much for calling in and being part of what we're doing. Bill, like I said, we ended our segment earlier. Anything you need from us, Dave will go out and key cars.
We'll leave the key in the cars, Dave.
I wouldn't trust him to kiss babies for you, but
oh my God,
he's. I think you have an. I think you took someone that wasn't really sure about where he lays, and then you created an ally, which is awesome.
It's awesome to see in real time,
and that's what we need. Guys, thank you so much. We're going to run some ads quickly here. You want to do a live read?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Christian's going to do a live read. We'll do our plugs, and then we're wrapped up. Guys, thank you so much.
All right, if you need to find a doctor, a lawyer, or any type of business service, just go to visitblue.com, where you find businesses that support our law enforcement community.
Chris, so do you have a plug for Christian cars, whatever?
Oh yeah. So if you're interested in cars, especially in exotic cars, just go to my Instagram and my Facebook page, Crazy Jack 458.
Awesome. Josh, anything?
3-chord bourbon.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Oh, look at me. I'm making. Listen, I'm making love to the bottle.
Listen,
Aw,
if there's anything that I've picked up over the last 6 years that BBO has been in existence and being exposed to guys like Danny and Mike, these guys only surround themselves with good people, and the good people bring more good people. And meeting Brian tonight for the first time, I mean, this guy's aces. And it gets to what we were talking about earlier, where regardless of what the businesses that don't support us, whatever, let them go make their money wherever the hell they're going to make their money. But we as law enforcement, we got to make a habit out of supporting the ones that support us. And I can tell you right now that Brian Canning and the guys over at 3-Chord Bourbon are 100% that. So if you have the opportunity for, depending on where you are, you can find out on their website where it's sold. I can tell you if you're in central Jersey area, Wegmans, Bridgewater, Princeton, they sell it. But you're going to start seeing it pop up other places all over Jersey. 3chordbourbon.com. Get yourself some. You thank me later. And that's it. I'm not into exotic cars, so I don't have a plug for that.
It's okay.
I am into exotic cigars.
Ooh.
www.lineofdutycigars.com. Any functions you're doing, golf outings, cigar nights, steak dinners, or whatnot, or you just want to hook your boy up that's serving overseas, we offer a discount for that too. So www.lineofdutycigars.com. I'm not getting the last word.
Well, you can get the last word in, but I forgot. If you're looking for anybody to key somebody else's car, advocacy for Leo, advocacyforleo.com. No, honestly, you go check them out too. If you're nearing retirement, if you're retired, you need to get your resume in order, and you need to get your shit in order, and find yourself some employment suitable to your skill set. As a retired law enforcement officer, check him out. Dave, as crazy as he is between keying cars,
he actually curses more than you do.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy?
Family show.
No, they do good shit over there, and I'll curse fittingly for his plug. Yeah, go check them out. Again, he'll help you get a job that's suitable for your skill set. You don't belong sitting at a mall kiosk
for $11 an hour.
Yeah, sitting at a mall kiosk polishing Christian Benia's nails when he walks through. Advocacy for Leo.
You're lucky if it's only his nails.
Good point.
We're wrapping. lineofdutycigars.com, www.lineofdutycigars.com. We are out. We'll post our next show. If you're following us, you'll figure it out. And if you're not following us, then you're probably not hearing this message. So we out. Jacob,
take care, everyone.
Take us home, Jacob. Take us home.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Domlin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com.